We do have a handful of accidents here early on this Wednesday. Harding Place at I-65, we picked up a crash. Also, White Bridge Road just south of Charlotte Pike. 65 southbound in the Belmont area, just right at Wedgwood Avenue. That would be exit 81. We picked up a fender bender there. And in Madison, Gallatin Pike North at Alta Loma Road. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Liberation Day, or as I call it, Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. And hello, friends. Welcome in. My name is Matt Murphy, and conveniently, this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. Hope everybody's doing okay. Hope are we battening down the hatches? We need to. Because apparently if you've got a hatch and it's not battened, it's going to blow away later on tonight. We've got nasty weather coming through. We'll tell you all about that this afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And we'll keep you as best we can safe and sound tonight, or at least provide you with the appropriate information to make sure that you can do what is necessary to keep yourself safe and sound. Wednesday, April 2, mentioned that. It's episode 783 of our gatherings together today, and we appreciate you spending some time with us, whether you're 5 minutes or the full 4 hours. We thank you. You can find us on a variety of different platforms. Obviously, we're on the FM dial, 99.7 FM. You can find us on any app that you choose to download or to stream music or news or information or podcast. You can stream us. Just type in Super Talk 99.7 WTN and get to the streaming. And you can also find us on Super Talk TV. Of course, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. For you masochists in the listening audience that want to watch me do the radio show, you may do so. Donald Trump is gathering before an assembled crowd in the Rose Garden outside of the White House, and he's speaking to said same. Let's jip this, join it in progress. President Donald J. Trump on Liberation Day.
Was reborn the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again. Going to make it wealthy, good and wealthy. For decades, our country has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple, can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions and trillions of dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before. Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so usually we sit right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property, imposed exorbitant VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years.
All right, I'm gonna pull it back here while the President of the United States offers. Forgive me for those of you who wish to dive deep into some of the examples offered by the President of the United States as to why we should sign into law reciprocal tariffs. Those individual countries that are tariffing the United States of America on goods, we're going to tariff them at a similar or the same amount. We can discuss at 615-737-9986 as we get the show started, 615-737-9986. If you understand you either choose to understand tariffing or you don't. You choose to understand tariffs as a negotiating tactic to try to lower prices by getting tariffs on all goods that we purchase here in the United States of America down, and simultaneously attempting to get manufacturing or the production of goods back into the United States of America, or encourage foreign companies that choose to do business with the United States of America to do business over here, to create factories over here, to hire American jobs here. These are all incentives that the Trump administration want to use to our advantage. Secondarily, for far too long, the United States of America, we have been the biggest guy on the block for a long time. And we are a very, very friendly neighbor. If you look at the world as a street, a neighborhood, if you will, the United States of America is and has been for a long time the largest, nicest house in the neighborhood. And we want to do well by our friends to help them improve their station in life, to improve their homes as well. And so we've been very nice to these other homes/countries over the years in terms of allowing them a slight trade imbalance so as to benefit those countries. Donald Trump's like, we can't continue to do that anymore. We're 36, almost 37, if not already $37 trillion in debt. We cannot continue the trade imbalance that currently exists. Does that mean that we're going to have to go through some, rocky times? Perhaps. Perhaps. It does. But that does not mean that this is the end game. The end game is not going to be increased prices for everyone in the United States of America on all of these goods that are coming from foreign sources. What it hopefully means is that we can negotiate better trade deals because these countries need the United States of America far more so than the United States of America needs these countries, at least for the most part. So the idea is you get them to they understand that there's a new day. They can't have the same old deals. If they want half of what they currently have, my grandpa said half of something is better than all of nothing. If they want half of what they already had, then they need to come back to the table of understanding and negotiation and figure that out. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about reciprocal tariffs. I agree with what he's doing. I agree with why he's doing it. I understand why he's doing it. And I understand that doesn't necessarily mean that the next 2 or 3 or 4 months won't be somewhat rocky in terms of what we're going to pay for certain goods. Primarily goods, not services, but goods. Here's the deal. Donald Trump has to have a good economy in order for this political effort to work. Otherwise, at some point, enough of the country will turn against him that you're going to see some bad times down the road when it comes to election time. Speaking of election time, we have the election results from last night. I love how the mainstream media, it seemed to me that there were 2 big victories in Florida. There was 1 victory in Wisconsin. There was 1 loss in Wisconsin for conservative libertarian type folk. That's how I'm doing my tally. If you're a liberal, you saw 2 losses in the state of Florida, 1 loss in Wisconsin, 1 victory in Wisconsin. The big one was the Supreme Court race, but that was a hold on the part of the liberal Democrats. The liberal Democrats had a 4-3 majority in the Wisconsin Supreme Court. The expectation is they will allow the redrawing of district lines that would potentially give them another Democrat in the House of Representatives, and that's what the big concern is and has been over the Wisconsin Supreme Court. It is not the end-all, be-all. I believe good policy will correct all of that. Good policy will correct all of that. And frankly, in my opinion, and you've not heard me talk a lot about the Wisconsin Supreme Court because I don't like talking about things that I don't know that much about. And I didn't know that much about this situation. But it is not the end-all, be-all that many Republicans would suggest that it is. And secondarily, it is a far more important happening, what went down with regard to voter ID, in my opinion. At very least, the Wisconsin voters, as they went to the polls and selected, the majority of them at least, a left-of-center judge to continue the 4-3 left-of-center majority in the Wisconsin Supreme Court, as they did that, they overwhelmingly made a statement to liberal leftist, but I repeat myself, in Wisconsin and across the United States of America, that it is not an off-the-reservation type of concept that we would expect, that people are who they say they are when they go and they exercise what is a foundational opportunity and right in the United States of America for law-abiding citizens, and that is to cast a ballot and to vote. If we have to present forms of ID to get into a bar, if we have to present a form of ID to do any sort of money management at a bank, if you have to present ID to buy a car or to buy whatever, then the expectation is you ought to present an ID and demonstrate you are who you say you are so as to prevent voter fraud in the unfortunate event that it occurs, and it occurs all the time. And overwhelmingly, voters of Wisconsin voted in that regard. They want voter ID in Wisconsin. That's a good thing because it prevents Democrats from cheating. And Democrats will cheat if given the ability. There's empirical data that show us as much. All right, so that's on the table as well, talking election results. Many in the mainstream media want to suggest to you that this is somehow a huge victory for the political left, and there's no doubt it was a victory in Wisconsin for them. My fear was always that as much sense as Elon made to me and to you, as much sense as Elon Musk made to a large portion of the state of Wisconsin, there are some people that just don't like outsiders coming in and telling them how to run their own business. I've noticed it. Over my 25 or so years in politics, I've noticed that as right as you may be, when an outside organization, agency, or individual comes into a particular area, be it Nashville, Tennessee, Middle Tennessee, Tennessee generally, Alabama, I've seen it over and over again. When these outside organizations come in and start telling us the good news, a lot of times people just push back on it just because we don't like others telling us what to do or how to do it. Did that happen in Wisconsin? I don't know. Maybe Wisconsin is simply turning more blue than purple. Fact of the matter is, the two big races in last night's contest were special election races held in Florida. Republicans held both of those seats. Republicans now enjoy, I believe it is it's a 220? Yeah, 220 to 215 majority right now. Or it will be 215 because there are two special elections that are yet to be held, but both are in liberal districts and expected to be filled by liberals. So the Speaker of the House only has a slim, 2-vote margin of error. He can lose 2 votes before he loses a vote. Speaking of losing a vote, the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, lost a vote regarding proxy voting and decided to call it a week and go on home. We'll talk about that on the Murphy Show as well and why I am against voting by proxy in the House of Representatives. We'll take your telephone calls at 615-737-9986. 615-737-9986, either via phone or on the super text line. Would love to hear from you. It is a jam-packed Wednesday edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk. Well, hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Efficient Heating and Cooling. They are a smaller company. There are a lot of heating and cooling companies around for you to choose from. I'm here to tell you that I would recommend Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Maybe you need someone to give you an opinion about whether it's time to replace your unit. Maybe someone has already given you that opinion and you're looking for a second opinion. Good idea to get a second opinion to get peace of mind. Plus, oftentimes companies just default to replace because they make more money that way. Jeff Eddy never does this. He's going to give you the real deal, the lowdown, right? Exactly what's going on, what it's going to cost to fix it, how much life you're going to get out of that unit after you fix it, and is it worth it? Are you losing money in terms of energy efficiency on a monthly basis? All of these questions can be answered by Jeff Eddy or one of his qualified technicians, and then you can make an informed decision about whether it's time to replace it. If it is, they're an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, and they can recommend the right unit for you and your family. But if it's not, you save money that way. Let's call Jeff Eddy today at Efficient Heating and Cooling, 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or online at efficienthvac.net.
Metro Nashville police have released their report on the Covenant School shooting. We'll have the latest. Wisconsin and Florida, those voters have spoken, and a controversial bill in the state legislature affecting children in the country illegally. We'll have those stories coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Indeed. Thank you, Jay Harper. Jay Harper in for Ken Weaver. He's in the newsroom, News Closet B. I failed to say hello to everybody, and I should do that now. Hey, Jay.
Howdy there, Matt. How you doing?
I'm pretty good, Jay. You all right?
Okay. Yeah, I'm doing fine.
You can do it. Well.
I just wanted you to maybe think you were back home in Georgia.
Hey there.
Howdy. How's your mom and them?
How's Mom and them? Well, they're under the weather.
Yeah.
They got the gout. Or the croup.
Ooh, the croup.
Oh, boy. If you got the croup, that's bad. There's Chris Webber.
Jay was trying to be funny, but I actually grew up around a lot of people that sounded just like that.
Hey, man.
I did too.
I did too. That's why I can kind of sound like those people.
Yeah. I mean, no, those are good folks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love them.
Right.
Hard, salt of the earth folks.
They might not wear shoes, but they're good folks.
Oh, no. Yeah. I mean, well, wearing shoes is overrated.
That's what they tell me.
That's well, I would tell you the same thing. I went I've told you this. I've told you the story.
Get kicked out of the Hooters for being barefoot?
I did not get kicked out of the Hooters. I got kicked out of the Huddle House for being barefoot. They don't like that. I went. I was a weirdo. I am a weirdo, and that's the end of that sentence. But I was more of a weirdo in college, and I went through kind of a hippy dippy phase, like
Really?
a neo hippie phase.
Okay.
And I went, and I'm not making this up. I went about a year. I only wore shoes when I had to, like had to. I didn't wear shoes to class. I didn't wear shoes. And you develop these like animal-like pads on the bottoms of your feet. You wonder where those pads that your dogs have come from? Well, just don't wear shoes for a long time. You develop them too. And I would carry flip-flops in the back of my book bag for, those incidents, like at Huddle House when they make you put on the shoes.
I thought you were going to say the back of your VW van. But
Oh, I knew a guy with a Type 2 transport, Jay Harper. Oh, yeah.
Me too.
yeah.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh. What happens in the back of the van stays in the back of the
Don't
van.
ask
In
questions.
my opinion. We ready for the weather, everybody?
Yeah, it's supposed
Ready as
to,
we're going to get, I guess.
supposed to
I mean-
get bad tonight.
We'll be here if needed on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. No, in all seriousness, I've got the rundown for you. I know Jay's talking about it in the newscast. And for those just joining us on the program, if you need a rundown as to a timing, we're going to give that for you coming up in just a moment. In the meantime, our man, he is can we just give a little.
You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades. And it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China, charged them. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars.
He's got
from
a visual
China
aid. I mean, a
in
big one.
tariffs.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
they understood, honestly. President Xi understood. He said, look, I understand. And
Says
the other
reciprocal
countries, and they all
tariffs on it.
understand. We're going to have to go through a little tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. A trade is not fair. And he said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was
It's not fair, Shinzo.
fantastic man.
You know it. I know it.
He understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal.
All right,
but
we'll get back to Donald Trump here in just a moment. We'll talk Covenant School. We'll talk voting by proxy, election results. You on the phone, 615-737-9986. Love to hear from you on the Super Text line as well. And I will run down what we can expect out of the weather. It is a busy day on the Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time for the news.
Good afternoon. It is 31 minutes past 3 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a full forecast coming up. The Nashville Police Department released a report on the 2023 Covenant School shooting where 6 people, including 3 children, were killed. The case summary released today shows how the shooter, Audrey Hale, was able to carry out the attack and how she hid mental health issues from doctors and family members. Police say they also have writings from Hale, who was killed by police on the day of the shooting. But a legal battle is still ongoing about whether to release those writings. Stephen Banks is one Covenant School parent. He's working to block the release of Hale's writings. He says releasing them could inspire other people.
Keep your focus on the victims and survivors of that horrific day. Keep your focus on our work to prevent this shooter's written materials from ever hurting another person. Notoriety is what she wanted. Don't indulge this killer in her desire for glory and notoriety for her crimes.
Hale identified as male, but apparently the police report used female pronouns in accordance with Tennessee law. Wisconsin voters have spoken, and Democratic-backed Judge Susan Crawford, she'll take a seat on the state Supreme Court. Crawford won against Republican-backed Brad Schnell, and the race garnered not only national attention but a whole bunch of money, especially from Elon Musk on the Republican side. The Democrats actually raised more money in that race, but Republicans were able to hold on to 2 congressional seats in special elections in Florida. Here's Rachel Scott.
Voters also headed to the polls in Florida for 2 congressional special elections, one for former Congressman Matt Gaetz, who the president initially selected as his attorney general, and the other for former Congressman Michael Waltz, who is currently serving as the president's national security advisor. Both of those seats and those races were in traditionally red districts, and Democrats did make a play, but ultimately Republicans able to hang on to both of those seats. That will certainly be some good news for House Speaker Mike Johnson.
Back here in Nashville, the bill that allows schools to turn away children who are in the country illegally or charge their families tuition, it has advanced in the state legislature.
The Senate Finance Committee voted to pass this bill yesterday. The bill now moves to the full Senate for a vote there.
That is Channel 4's Alexandria Adams. The House version of that bill is sitting in the Government Operations Committee waiting for debate. A date for debate and voting, it's not been set yet. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. On Ellington Parkway, northbound, the on-ramp from James Robertson Parkway is partially blocked. We've got a wreck there. Also, 65 northbound, right before Harding Place, we picked up a crash there. In Madison, Gallatin Pike North at Altaloma Road. That wreck's been there a while. Also, Whitebridge Pike south of Charlotte Pike. We picked up an accident there. And finally, Harding Place at I-65, another wreck reported. We have your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Absolutely love our conversations with Tony over at Cabinet Solutions in Hendersonville. Always a great bargain, a great deal, and what a great company that we have right in our midst to help us with any and all of our cabinet needs. Hey, Tony, what's going on, brother?
Hey, Matt. I just wanted to speak to the homeowners out there that really would like to update their kitchen or bath, but grows weary of the thought that one thing leads to another, and then they have to deal with all kinds of people. We've got the answer to this. Not only do we carry a great deal of cabinetry, but we carry high-end LVP flooring as well. And they can choose their countertops, they got cabinet hardware. They can, if they need walls moved, electrical, plumbing, whatever, we have an in-house contractor that we partner with that they can use. And they can meet with them and us at the same time. Can't beat
Well,
it.
no, it's one of the things that I absolutely loved when I toured the beautiful showroom up in Hendersonville is that not only are you doing a great job with cabinets in all rooms in the house, but you also partner with so many great folks that have expertise in these other areas. So like you say, it's one-stop shopping at Cabinet Solutions.
That's right. And they can get me at mycabinetsolution.com. That's mycabinetsolution.com, and they can fill out the contact form that comes directly to me, and I'll get back to them as soon as possible.
Listen, Tony's the best in the business. Go to mycabinetsolution.com. I'm right there now. What a wonderful website, a wonderful resource in Hendersonville. It's Tony with mycabinetsolution.com. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for Dr. Stephen Poss, Dr. Brian McLaughlin, and the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Are you waking up in the night? Do you know why? Could it be sleep apnea? Have you gotten a test? If you've not, I encourage you to do so. Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin can help find the way to get that test in progress so that you can discover whether or not you have sleep apnea. And if you do, don't worry. You're not stuck with a CPAP machine. Mild to moderate sleep apnea can be handled with an FDA-approved oral device, gently supports your jaw, helps you breathe better, snore less, without a hose and without a mask. It simply keeps the airways open so that you breathe throughout the course of the night. Friends, they're in network with BCBS, Aetna, Cigna, United Healthcare, Medicare, preferred provider for TRICARE for our military. So they've got you covered from an insurance standpoint. 2 locations to serve you. They've got you covered in that regard as well. Brentwood and Murfreesboro. Give Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin a call today at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. Begin that journey by going to drposs.com. It's what I did, and now I'm not just a spokesperson. I'm also a client of Dr. Poss and Dr. McLaughlin. Go to drposs.com. All right, Donald Trump has announced tariffs, baseline tariff of 10% on all countries, and he calls it Liberation Day, discussing the transformation of what's going to happen in the United States of America as a result of all of this. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was up 235 points today, but of course, that shut down before all of these announcements were being made. So, you know what? The Dow Jones Industrial Average wants certainty. The stock market wants certainty. And they certainly are getting it with these announcements today that this is what we can expect to happen. Donald Trump is willing to open up any and all negotiations on this front. And frankly, reciprocal tariffs are easy to understand, right? If you tariff us at 15%, we tariff you at 15%. If you tariff us at 0%, we tariff you at 0%. I know that there are some subtleties that I'm not getting into on the show. I mean, I don't want to bore you with some of the irregularities of the equation, but that's the bottom line. Donald Trump continues to speak as we speak. Let's jip a little, just a little from the White House as he's talking today before the assembled media and to the American people.
Instead, we built the greatest economy in the history of the world. And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China, but they were taking tremendous advantage of us, and I commend them for that. I say, hey, if you can get away with it, that's okay. But, they understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something, but and they're going to fight, and they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. It's like I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%. With NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to number one in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like, let's say in the first
Very rapidly,
hour.
I just want to.
And then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, oh, no, don't do this. What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years. But because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say I'd be on a television show. I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by
I love listening to one of his speeches. It's like holding a box of frogs.
The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship with China. You know what the relationship was? He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big. The numbers were so big.
Huge.
That they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but they couldn't do it because the numbers were hundreds of billions of dollars, and I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a very bad election. A lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was
forget it's only been 72 days.
Like Brian and your friends,
I amended it, by the way.
To celebrate and to more importantly celebrate
72
what we're
days.
doing.
You were off by one.
I was off by one.
If we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the very tired predictions earlier this year, but in February, core inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years.
True.
And the price of eggs, as you know, just in a month and a half,
going down.
We were there for 4 weeks.
Bird flu.
And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250%, and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here.
It's my favorite kind of trouble.
We got to work
I just
on
showed up. What do you want me to do?
And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof. And I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot.
Is groceries an old term?
Energy costs now are down.
It's been around a
Groceries are
while.
down.
I mean,
gasoline
okay.
is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs, and it was that took place in 1 month. Numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country.
All right, there's the President of the United States of America. We'll continue to monitor the proceedings. Just wanted to give you a little sense of what was going on in the Rose Garden as he continues to talk about the first 72 days in office in his second term, some of the economic activity that has occurred, obviously egg prices going down, energy prices going down, and clearly this is in the aftermath of announcing reciprocal tariffs on a lot of different countries around the globe. Got a lot of financial folk, I wouldn't say up in arms, but, if you understand the idea of the negotiation, the art of the deal, you understand what the president is trying to do. Is it a dangerous game? Some would suggest it is. Some hate the idea of tariffs. I don't get so much heartburn about tariffs if we could ultimately accomplish the goal, minimize the damage on the front end, minimize the rocky road and the rocky path in the beginning, and smooth it out toward the back end by getting lowered tariffs on those trading partners that want to do good by us. And you know what? Eliminate our arrangements with those that don't and bring some of those jobs back to the United States of America. That is the ultimate idea. Let me go over a few of the matters that you need to know regarding the weather tonight, and we'll get into Covenant School here in just a minute. So, and by the way, I see you out there, 4460. By the way, Super Text line is up and running. Phone lines are up and running, 615-737-9986. If you want to engage in a robust discussion of tariff talk, I'm your boy. But 4460 says, April 2nd, 2020. This is what I have to deal with over here. Weber. 4460. April 2nd, 2025, 3:39 p.m. First time in 3 years, Matt Murphy said "jip" without saying "join in progress" right afterwards. Thank you. Well, some people don't know. And isn't "jip" like used improperly? Isn't it a pejorative? Isn't it a slang term?
Yeah, like you gypped me.
Right, but is that in reference to the Jewish people? I've been told that.
I think I've heard that as well. I never knew it was.
I never knew it was when I was a kid either.
Just thought you got a kind of a raw deal.
You got a bad deal.
Yeah.
I got gypped. But I don't want to use that term if in any way it's, what's the word? Etymology. Is that the history of words? Etymology? I think I'm using that right.
Thought that was bugs.
The history of bugs. One way or the other, I don't want to use it if it was born of some sort of anti-Semitism. Bottom line is this: JIP, join in progress. JIP, join in progress. Oh, it's gypsy. There you go, Dave.
Yeah, you don't want to upset the gypsies.
I wouldn't want to upset the nomads out there in the listening audience, or AKA the gypsy. We had bands of gypsies in Alabama.
Did you really?
Yeah, they would call us, and they'd get very upset if you talked about the gypsies. Do we have bands of gypsies in Tennessee?
Not that I'm aware. I've never seen them.
Well, if they're out there, they're listening. I mean, everybody is.
Uh-oh.
And it was you, not me. But that would be GYP.
That's true.
That doesn't even make any sense.
That doesn't fit JIP.
No. We're doing JIP. Join in. David said I'm Jewish. I've never heard that. I think I got my etymology incorrect.
Yeah, I think that is correct. It's gypsy. Yeah. Yeah,
it's gypsy. It's not the Jewish state. So one way or the other, I don't want to upset the gypsies. I like gypsies. I like tramps. I like thieves. I like all those things. I don't care for Cher that much.
Oh, boy. Well, she's a gypsy.
A tramp and a thief.
Mm-hmm.
Cher did a lot of songs that just didn't stand the test of time, didn't she? Half-breed? Come on, Cher. What are you doing over there? I don't know. 51 after the hour. We'll get into the weather in a moment on Super Talk. I absolutely love our listening audience. Someone just said, I was married to a gypsy. I live in Mount Juliet. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does. I'll tell you what doesn't make me laugh, and that is walking into an auto repair shop and smelling the smell, the stink, stink, stink. Is that what it was the last time you went into an auto repair shop? The grease and the smelly old rags lying around, countertop that you don't want to touch. Another thing that stinks, repair shop pricing. Another thing that stinks, repair shops that keep your car forever and won't call you back and it's not really ready when they say that it's ready. Listen, friends, if this was your last experience, it's time to get to Eurofix. Eurofix takes the stink out of European auto repair. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. They just tell you what's going on with your car. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty. That doesn't stink. At Eurofix, you get a free loaner car with every repair appointment, and that doesn't stink either. Plus, 5 locations, Mount Juliet, Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, and Belmead. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or visit myEurofix.com. Friends, the Glock store has a date for you to save, and I'm here to tell you all about it. It's the 5th annual Nashville Open House at the Glock store, and I want you to save the date. Saturday, May 31st. I can't wait for it. Now, I know this is on down the road, but I just want you to mark this date on your calendar. I'll have details as things get finalized, but they always have incredible speakers, incredible activities, awesome store-wide discounts, and some really incredible raffles as well. Last year, as a matter of fact, they gave away over $15,000 worth of incredible gun gear, including over 25 red dot optics. They also had below-cost flash sales on Glock handguns and famous brand sporting rifles. And to top it all off, they gave away a custom Glock worth over, hold on now, $1,800 just for signing up at the raffle. What are you talking about? Rumor has it they're going to be giving away more than one Glock this year. How about that? Chris will be there. Dan will be there. And yours truly, Matt Murphy. We'd love a chance to meet you and say hello. So save the date, Saturday, May 31st from 10 until 2 at My Place to Train, My Place to Shoot. It's the Glock store, minutes away from the airport. Worth the drive from anywhere. It's the Glock store.
President Trump unveiling his tariff plan today in a Rose Garden ceremony. In fact, he just wrapped up his speech. He was talking for about an hour, and he's now sitting at the desk signing the executive orders. In any event, Metro Police also today released their report on the Covenant School shooting. We'll have an update on that. We'll have more stories at 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yes, sir, indeed. Thank you, Mr. Jay Harper. Looking forward to those stories. Looking forward to conversation about those stories, specifically Covenant School. We'll get into that momentarily in the 4 o'clock hour. Let me run this down for you. It's as they say over at WSMV4, it is a first alert weather day. Gusty winds right now as we walked in. Boy, oh boy, it was a hair blowing kind of day. If you wear a toque, you might want to wear a hat today if you're out and about.
Use that extra sticky tape.
Oh yeah, or the little. Some of them have the buttons, don't they?
Ooh, the snaps.
Have you seen those?
Yeah,
are
those
real?
implanted into the scalp. Yeah, that's real.
Is that the real deal?
Yeah.
Little pearl. Pearl snaps. Gusty winds all afternoon through tonight. Wind advisory remains in effect until 4 a.m. Wind gust will reach 45 miles an hour at times. It could potentially knock off power and blow down tree limbs or even possibly a few trees. Severe weather for some tonight. The greatest chance of severe storms is over northwest Middle Tennessee and southwest Kentucky this evening. We're talking about places like Hopkinsville in Kentucky or Clarksville in the northwestern portion of our listening area. Waverly is also a place like Dixon might see some significant weather. And even further to the west, Paris, Tennessee, you are in the severest of threats. So, they do these codes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they coincide with green, yellow, orange, red, and pink. And Paris, you're in the pink. That means you're code level 5 for potential storms. Storms will not reach southeastern Middle Tennessee, could get stuck just north of here. Anyway, the storms overnight could quickly become severe. We'll be here for you if you need us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As a matter of fact, I'm planning on staying a little extra time. We'll hand off to Mark Levin at 7 o'clock tonight, but we'll be here monitoring the weather situation. And here's the thing. If there's a tornado warning in our listening area, we're on air with you and our partners at WSMV Channel 4. There you go. There's the rundown. Expect nasty weather throughout the course of the night, more severe to the north and the west than right here in Nashville, Music City. 4 o'clock, it's time for the news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It is 4 p.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a full forecast and a traffic update momentarily. In a White House Rose Garden event, President Trump unveiling his sweeping tariffs on imports from other countries, calling it Liberation Day. President Trump promises his move will promote U.S. manufacturing and bring back jobs to America. Economists, however, warn the tariffs could create higher costs for Americans and launch a trade war. During his remarks, the president detailed just how much the U.S. will impose on other countries. He calls them reciprocal tariffs, saying the U.S. will impose tariffs at a 50% calculated rate that's based off what other countries charge the U.S.
For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people.
Back here in Nashville, the Nashville Police Department released a report on the 2023 Covenant School shooting where 6 people, including 3 children, were killed. The case summary released today shows how the shooter was able to carry out the attack and how she held mental health issues and also hid them from doctors and family members. Police say they also have writings from her. She was killed by police, of course, on the day of the shooting. But a legal battle is still ongoing about whether to release the writings. Stefan Banks is one Covenant School parent who's working to block the release of those writings. He says releasing them could, in fact, inspire other people.
Keep your focus on the victims and survivors of that horrific day. Keep your focus on our work to prevent this shooter's written materials from ever hurting another person. Notoriety is what she wanted. Don't indulge this killer in her desire for glory and notoriety for her crimes.
16 notebooks were recovered after the shooting, containing nearly 1,300 pages of content spanning from August of 2017 up to the day of the attack, which was March 27th of 2023. That is the latest news. We've got traffic and weather on the way. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. We have just picked up a crash downtown that is really going to foul some things up. This would be 40 eastbound at the Broadway exit, 209B. Also, Chestnut Street at 2nd Avenue South, that is an injury crash. Ellington Parkway northbound, the on-ramp from James Robertson Parkway, it's still partially blocked. We had a wreck there earlier in the Antioch area. This is 24 eastbound. The on-ramp to the interstate from Haywood Lane, it's partially blocked. We had a crash there. And in the Belmont area, 65 southbound at the Wedgwood exit, we've got a wreck. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is the Matt Murphy Radio Show. We're monitoring the weather for you so you don't have to, and we expect that nasty weather will at least reach Middle Tennessee at some point, 8, 9 o'clock tonight, reaching Nashville around midnight tonight. We just will alert and update you on that all afternoon long as we continue the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased to have you with us. It's 6 minutes after the hour. Donald Trump has just finished up what he called Liberation Day, placing 10% tariffs on countries across the board and increasing said tariffs for those countries that he believes are being unfair to the United States of America. You're welcome to comment on that, 615-737-9986. I do believe, obviously, this is a method by which Donald Trump wants to get a more equitable balance in terms of trade around the globe for the United States of America. He mentioned during his remarks, and we played some of those remarks in the first hour, that he believes that imbalance has been in place for well over 50 years now, and it's high time that some president, and he's the guy to do it, repairs some of that balance in terms of our trade arrangements with our partners around the globe. 615-737-9986. We also established that the term JIP can mean join in progress, which is how we mean it, or it can mean an unfair trade practice. I guess that would be an unfair individual trade practice. Hey, he gypped me, deriving from the term gypsy, which was a negative way to discuss gypsies who would, oftentimes, as the story goes, come into a town and engage in some level of unfair trading and then be out of town before you realized it.
Unfair trade, huh? That sounds like what Trump was just talking about.
Well, I mean, I wonder if he used the term. Probably not.
No.
Probably not. Dave said, I just saw a bird get blown off the bird feeder. Birds aren't real. 6256 says, Snappy Jacket. You can watch the show, Supertalk 99.7 WTN. We are broadcasting on a variety of platforms to include Supertalk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. And if Ken Weaver were here, he would remind you of something. I like to remind you to like and subscribe, give us the old thumbs up. Chris, if Ken were here, he would tell you that costs what exactly?
$4,000?
No.
Oh, wait, that's the other thing. Absolutely nothing.
Is it up to $4,000 now?
Well, I'm not supposed to talk about that.
Oh, okay. It was like $3,500 a week ago.
Well, inflation.
Inflation. Yeah. It's happening. The Metro Nashville Police Department today concluded its investigation into the Covenant School attack, which was committed over 2 years ago, March 27th, 2023, by, and I don't use her name very often, but I will in this context, 28-year-old Audrey Elizabeth Hale. Audrey Elizabeth Hale, and I'm referencing reporting from the Tennessee Star and the Michael Patrick Leahy organization over there. I think Tom Pappert wrote this story, but I also have the actual report pulled up for you as well, as I have run. I've not read all 48 pages of it. I've gotten through a good portion of the report. Here's what I will say before we get into the details. This is a fruitless exercise. That is not to say that we should not have all information, at least as much information as we can possibly have, that would not put the health and safety of other people at risk. But I thought a couple of things as I was reading some of this report. One thing struck me. Covenant, the word covenant. We have talked about the Covenant School quite a bit over the last couple of years, and rightly so. What does that word mean? Covenant. Well, it means agreement. That's what a covenant is. And in the context of a Christian school or a church, that covenant is an agreement between ourselves, the sinful, and our Savior. In this case, Jesus Christ. But I was thinking about the word covenant in a broader context, or I guess, depending on your perspective, a more limited context. Covenant, the agreement. What covenant do we have with the Metro Nashville Police Department? What covenant do we have with those elected officials regarding information like this? Who are they to shield us, grown people, from this information? because all along the way, it seems that is what they have attempted to do. Why? Well, they tell us that it's because they don't want copycat killers in our midst. They tell us that this information has been withheld because we just don't need to know. There's no community interest that places a value on this information that we oftentimes over the last 2 years called a manifesto. I'm trying to get away from using that term because of the 80-plus pages that I have been witness to and of the multitude of other journals and pages and writings of this individual. One thing is clear. This is not a manifesto by any traditional understanding of the term. What it is, these are the writings of someone who is mentally insane and very, very angry. Now, some of you and some of us, I'll include myself in this number, we want to believe that the information that was withheld for so long was withheld for a specific reason. Because Audrey Hale identified as transgender. And that there was an active movement to prevent any and all information coming out about the nature of her violent crimes and what her belief in her transgenderism had to do with that. I don't know that I'm convinced with that. I don't know that I'm convinced of that. And I know that, sadly, an absence of information leads to speculation. Let me say that again. I say it all the time. You just write it down, put a little Matt Murphy underneath it. An absence of information leads to speculation. And in the absence of a forthcoming Metro Nashville Police Department, in their concerted effort to shield us from this information, speculation blossomed. And you add that concept that an absence of information leads to speculation. In any dynamic, by the way, in any dynamic, if there is interest in something when you do not have good information or you feel like information is being withheld from you, that leads us to speculate as to what's going on. What's really happening and why? And then add this to it. For the last 2 years in our community, and this has happened in other communities around the country, we know them by name, Uvalde, Parkland, Sandy Hook. We see acts of violence occur. We call them senseless acts of violence. And then we proceed to attempt to make sense of the senseless. We defined it as senseless, yet we attempt to make sense of it. I feel compelled on this day that the final report has come out from the Metro Nashville Police Department as they have concluded their investigation to say this one more time. There is no way that sane people can make sense of someone shooting a 9-year-old child in cold blood. There's no amount of conversation. There's no amount of information. I don't fault anyone for trying. I don't fault people for being curious. I do not fault anyone from wanting this information on the basic premise, and this is kind of where I fall, that it is not the government's right to shield us from this information. It is our right as a public to know and determine for ourselves whether or not we are ready, willing, and able to handle what we see. But there's no making sense of this. A mentally disturbed person that decided that she was a man at some point in her life killed children in cold blood and had been planning it for a long, long time. Not necessarily the specific nature of this specific attack happening on March 27th of 2023, but had been planning killing people for a long, long time. There's no making sense of that. And I'm not wagging my finger. I try to do it too. We all try to do it. Not just in this case. This case hits close to home because these are our neighbors. These are our friends. These are people we go to church with. These are people that we see at the grocery store. And then the usual suspects come out of their corners and, one group of people, and I'm not knocking any of it, but one group of people start screaming about mental health and another group of people start screaming about gun control. And somewhere along the way, we lose sight of what has happened and perhaps some of the red flags that existed that could have led us to a point where we got this clearly disturbed human being some help, or at very least locked her up and shielded her from innocence that eventually died as a result of our inability to do so. People want a magic bullet. Oh, I want to know if Audrey Hale was on medication. According to, we don't see any medication, at least in the reporting that I've read. I have not read all of it. I've read about 22 pages of it. I've not seen it. But what is that going to do for you? Well, I want to know. Well, you know what? There are a lot of people on a lot of psychotropic drugs, and I'm not saying they should be or they shouldn't be, but those people don't go out and kill other people. Sense of the senseless. I don't know that there is any specific puzzle piece that we can be handed as a community that's going to fit perfectly into that jigsaw puzzle of this story that's going to make it make sense for you. And I know that's frustrating. It is for me. And in the meantime, the community heals and life goes on, and 6 families, and by extension, the entire Nashville family will never be the same. And have we done anything with regard to mental health? I don't know the answer to that either. Of note, as the Tennessee Star put it, the Metro Nashville Police Department did not use the word transgender in their report, but they did acknowledge that Hale had gender dysphoric issues, specifically identified as male and used he and him as preferred pronouns. The report also acknowledged Hale made statements about wanting to transition genders, and then went on to say nothing has been found to suggest he initiated or was undergoing a transition at the time of her death, including medical documentation. In other words, there's no documentation to indicate that there was any medical or medicine being consumed by Hale. Hale had been a mental patient for a long time. There ought to have been red flags within the psychiatric community that directly dealt with Hale, one would think. But those flags were missed. Does that mean that the people that missed them are bad people? I don't think it does. Not necessarily. It might not. We have to be right 100% of the time. They have to be right once. $56.58, I don't know what that means. Vanderbilt omission for 2 years is the key to the entire story. I'll need you to explain that for me. A lot of you have responded on the super text line. I wish I had more answers for you. I don't. There are no answers for this story. There are no answers in this story. There are plenty of people that think that they have them. There are plenty of people on the radio. I'm not talking about Dan or Chris or Chad or anybody. I'm not talking about anybody in particular. There are plenty of people that would suggest that they know exactly how it happened and how it went down, and that is all a load of garbage. This woman was mentally unstable for a long, long time. The writings that we have seen indicated that instability, her inability to figure it out, her inability to get the bugs out of her head, led to a tremendous amount of anger. Anger at everybody. And that would, manifest itself in lashing out at this group or that group. And it all seems so indiscriminate. I don't know. Some of you are suggesting, or some of you would suggest, not you, I wouldn't say it, but there's been suggestion that she was crazy because she was trans. I would suggest that she tried to be trans because she was crazy and thought that would fix her, and it didn't. It's 23 after the hour. Your thoughts, 615-737-9986. You're listening to Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so you've got some property and you want to build on that property, or you need a shed, maybe a she shed or a man cave or a space for events or equestrian space, just somewhere to hang out on the weekends and whatnot. Don't buy one of these prefabricated deals. Let's get a beautiful structure from Stoltz Co. built on your property. If you own land and you want to do something with that cash, you want to do something with that property, the way to go is a wonderful, high-quality, customized structure at a reasonable price from Stoltz Co. Put money into real assets by building on your property. They're the leading company in first-class customer service with the creation of post-frame buildings such as barn dominiums, pole barns, garage spaces, equestrian spaces, event space, and much, much more. Maybe you've got a mother-in-law, father-in-law type situation where you know that you need to get them closer to family, but you don't want them so close that they're under the same roof. What about a structure for them? What about a guest house for these folks? Contact Stoltz Co. to see what they can do for you at 615-622-5992, 622-5992, or visit them online at stoltzco.com. That's STOLTZCO.com. StoltzCo.com. One word that comes to mind when you think about Genesis Diamonds, two locations, by the way, Cool Springs and Green Hills, is that word is integrity. I love these guys. They are masters at their craft. and they help you figure out exactly what you want for your family member that you're buying for. So here's how it works. It's a company that's built on this solid foundation of integrity with total transparency and total honesty. You walk in, and it can be overwhelming. I know, especially for you guys, if you've not seen a shop with the amount of diamonds that they have at Genesis Diamonds, it can be, I mean, it's crazy. And you don't know where to start. Don't worry, because they have salespeople that are not commissioned. That means that they have no investment in upselling you on anything that you don't want for you or your family. What they do have is an investment in finding the right thing for you to keep you as a customer for years and years and years to come. At Genesis Diamonds, they don't play pricing games with you. Unlike other jewelers, they work on very small margins, and so when they have a sale, it's a real sale, but their normal prices are the lowest that they can go. They share with you the long-held secrets of the diamond buying industry and diamond buying in general, so that can help you down the road. And as a matter of fact, they'll educate you and they'll let you out into the world. Go to other diamond shops. They know you'll be back to Genesis Diamonds because Genesis Diamonds has the best value and the best diamonds on the market today. Green Hills and Cool Springs, it's Genesis Diamonds.
So is Elon Musk's role in the Trump administration growing thin? We'll have that story. Also, we'll have today's closing money news. Those stories coming up here at the bottom of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Jay Harper. I've spoken. What about you? 615-737-9986. Mental health organizations are trying to say gender dysphoria is not a mental illness. Doesn't this show that it is a mental illness, or does it? Well, I mean, I am not medically qualified, I don't believe, to answer that question. I can offer you an opinion, and that is this. I've known people that were transgendered that lived relatively normal lives outside of their gender dysphoria. I don't pretend that I've known them well, but I do not believe that gender dysphoria automatically means that you are mentally ill. But I do think that a lot of people that are mentally ill believe that they are transgender. And I believe that some people that are transgender are mentally ill. I believe that some people that are stable in their gender identity are mentally ill. Right? I do believe that there has been an interest, and I think this is what we're getting to, right? That there was an interest to shield the American people from the knowledge that transgender people were becoming increasingly violent over the last 10, 15, 20 years. But I think that has coincided with a woke acceptance level that if someone just declares themselves a she when they've been a he, that we're supposed to just declare them transgender or gender dysphoria. I think there are far more people that declare themselves transgender that aren't gender dysphoric medically. That's my unscientific and non-medical take on it. Brian, you'll be next up. We'll get to plenty of you on the super text line. Continue to diagnose and dissect the Covenant report that was out today on the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good afternoon. It's 4:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get you that all-important weather forecast, also a traffic update here in just a moment. So is Elon Musk's time at the White House running out? Well, it's not clear when, but reportedly his role in the Trump administration is set to end at the end of May. We hear more on this from Catherine Falders with ABC.
Trump isn't saying behind the scenes that he's soured on Musk. In fact, he remains satisfied and pleased with what Musk has done across the government in terms of cost cutting, despite it being challenged in the courts and despite the pushback here. So I'm sure he will remain a voice in President Trump's year.
Now let's turn to today's closing money news. For that, it's Michelle Frenzen.
Stocks swung wildly today, suffering losses in the morning and rebounding in the afternoon as President Trump announced new sweeping tariffs. The Dow gained 235 points, the S&P rose 38, and the Nasdaq ending the trading day 151 points higher. The new reciprocal tariffs are a political and financial gamble for Trump, who says they will eliminate unfair trade practices. But many economists say they could spark an economic downturn and increase inflation, as importers will pass the tariff cost to consumers. Some businesses are already looking at ways to offset the tariffs, or buyers may notice some shrinkflation, all part of a drive to offset the higher costs of tariffs. Tesla is struggling to attract buyers. The electric car company's sales dropped 13% in the first 3 months of this year. Sources familiar with the situation tell ABC News CEO Elon Musk may leave the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency next month.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. First of all, we're seeing just quite the traffic jam at the Nolensville Pike Harding Road, Harding Place intersection here. Yeah, going through the traffic cameras, it's just bumper to bumper. As far as accidents go, downtown, the Gulch, 40 eastbound at the Broadway exit. That's exit 209B. We've had quite a few problems there already with the backup. 65 southbound at Wedgwood. We've got a wreck there. Also 24 eastbound at the Haywood Lane exit. The on-ramp to the interstate there partially blocked due to a wreck. And finally, 24 westbound. That's headed into town at Bell Road. We've got a crash there. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every morning and afternoon, for that matter, on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Safe House. You know, Safe House has more safes than on their showroom than most other places have in their entire warehouse. I mean, it's true. Nashville Safe House has the safe that's right for you, and they have professional delivery ready to go at Nashville Safe House, and I'm here to tell you all about it. They've been celebrating their 33rd anniversary in town for the last, this year is their 33rd year in business, and they've been doing right by you for that length of time. Nashville Safe House, as I mentioned, over 200 safes on display in their showroom. They have another almost 400 in their warehouses. They're the largest Browning dealer in the United States, not just in Tennessee, but in the entire country. And right now, through April 15th, they have rebates of up to $400. Ask Mark and his team about that. Always remember, they are sales tax free on gun safes at Nashville Safe House. The Safe House is also the only certified delivery crew in the area. Don't let anybody deliver your safe and come into your home. Let's let professionals take care of this business. Go to NashvilleSafeHouse.com. That's NashvilleSafeHouse.com or 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. It's Nashville Safe House. Back to the subject at hand momentarily, but a real quick aside, is there an assertion? Yeah, Cory Booker did his filibuster. Are they asserting that he did not go to the bathroom once?
Certainly they're not saying that.
I think they're trying to assert that. I think I have not looked into it because I don't really care. I mean, that much. I don't care enough to look into it. But y'all tell me if y'all have heard this, that the assertion is that for the 24-plus hours that he spoke on the floor of the United States Senate, that not once did he not poke his head in the cloakroom or other body parts in the cloakroom and take care of a biological function. I have a hard time believing that.
I don't think that's possible.
I don't either. What they did do is, and, you know, you can say that this discounts the record of the filibuster if you want, but what they did do was offer him some opportunities by asking lengthy questions. You're allowed to ask the filibusterer questions on the floor, and they were asking lengthy questions, giving him an opportunity to drink water or whatever. And I don't think he's allowed to leave the floor, but I think he can go into the cloakroom. And if that's the case, you know, do a lot of things in the cloakroom.
I don't want to know.
I don't know. I don't want to know.
He may have had a diaper on. You know, it depends.
It does depend, indeed,
Correct.
Jay.
Yeah.
Jay's been waiting on that joke all afternoon.
Oh, no.
It's a good one. It's a good one. I like it. I don't know. I don't know that I could do that if I had the opportunity.
I wouldn't want to attempt it, no.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, though?
Can't be healthy for you.
What, to go and then just stand around?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about not going.
Yeah, not going.
I was talking about having a dependence on, like Jay was talking about.
I don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. I don't know that
No. I don't want to wallow in, no.
Well, wait a minute. Nobody said anything about why.
Well, I don't care whether that material, just stop. Let's just skip it.
It's absorbent.
Yeah, I know, but
It ain't that absorbent.
Look, I see the commercials on TV. Apparently it causes you to dance.
I know, man. You could play tennis, pickleball. I mean,
all while, you know,
an amazing product.
I'm pretty sure the intention is not to just let it fly. I mean, it's if you have an accident.
Yeah,
that's not what I see on my TV.
Oh, all right.
All I know is they get those little undergarments on and they start smiling and dancing.
I hope I never have to find out.
I mean, they seem to be excited about it. All right. He might have had a sneaky leaker. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know. What do the NASCAR boys do? I think some of them have, on the longer races, they have a little a system.
A little contraption?
A little something. It's a suction-related deal, apparently.
Well.
But for the most part, they claim that they are losing so much fluid by sweating, especially in the summertime, that they don't need to go.
Yeah. Well, and there's a big difference in 4 hours and 24 hours.
Well, that's right, and I don't believe for a moment that he didn't find an opportunity to go to the bathroom. All right, more back on this. Look, this is a touchy subject, and I understand that is the case, and I don't pretend to be a part of the medical community when I try to give you my assessment on this case. But here's what I would say, because a lot of people are saying, well, if you are born a woman and you think you're a man, then that means you're crazy. Well, I mean, I think all of us have slightly different definitions of what we would consider to be crazy. And frankly, I think all of us are different. All of us are different. All of us think differently, some more out of bounds than others. For the vast majority of us, we would never, ever consider, and I would include people who are, quote, unquote, gender dysphoric in this. You would never consider harming other people. I'm not here to cast aspersions on but I would say this, in 2025, there's a difference between somebody that is gender dysphoric and a transgender person, or somebody that says they're transgender. And a hell of a lot of people are claiming that they're transgender that I don't believe are gender dysphoric at all. Either they've been sold a bill of goods or they're trying to sell you one. That's my stand on it. In the meantime, some are suggesting that the report, Ray said, well, I heard that the report said that she was mentally sane. No, it did not. Said, well, Matt, in the report they put out today, it says she was mentally stable. writes Ray. No, I'm reading from the report, page 35, paragraph 5. Based on the available mental health records, Hale was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, a dysrhythmic disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, social phobia, and other emotional disorders. At times, she suffered from anorexia nervosa. Her therapist remarked how she suffered from severe anger issues, demonstrated difficulty in controlling it. It says nothing was found to show Hale was described or diagnosed, that is, with autism spectrum disorder, despite Hale's insistence to the contrary in the materials she left behind. No evidence of psychosis was found in the available materials, nor in her mental health records. Based on the materials Hale left behind and interviews with those who knew her, it is certain that she suffered from those diagnosed conditions up until her death, despite medication and treatment. Was without question highly depressed and highly suicidal throughout her life. She embraced her death at the end of her attack and considered any other outcome as a failure. Despite medication and therapy, none of this appeared to affect her outlook on life. None of the social or environmental factors that drove her depression ever changed. That would include before her decision that she was transgender and after. Look, I don't know that it's a popular opinion here, but I think she was searching for something that would heal her mind, and nothing would. Brian is next in Spring Hill. Hello, Brian.
Hey, thanks. I think that last statement you said hit the nail on the head. I just want to address the issue about mental health clinicians and so-called red flags, and maybe they missed some or maybe they didn't. Mental health clinicians see lots of red flags. And by the way, I don't have any answers, and I have not followed this case that closely. In fact, what you just read on the air about the mental health diagnoses, first time I heard that. I will say I've known lots of people with every single one of those diagnoses who don't kill people and who actually hold down jobs and live lives, even though they may suffer. There's varying degrees of all those things. I will just say, though, that to get somebody committed for 72 hours, you've got to have, there's a duty to warn, and you have to have a credible evidence, a suspicion of an imminent act of self-harm, of killing yourself or somebody else. And so you can request and have a person evaluated at a local hospital with a psych ward, and they will determine whether or not they can hold that person for 72 hours or not. At the end of that 72 hours, it just depends on if they think, a lot of people can manipulate. Some people want to get hospitalized, and they'll say whatever they have to say to get in the hospital. Other people, when they get taken against their will to be evaluated, they know what they have to say to not be hospitalized. And so, and even if they do get hospitalized at the end of that 72 hours, they're in the hospital for maybe another week, sometimes longer if they're still exhibiting serious symptoms. But at the end of that week, the hospital has to make the same decision all over again. Do we think this person's going to kill themselves or somebody else imminently? Do they have a plan? Does it seem like a credible, realistic, imminent risk? And that's a pretty high bar. And I don't actually work in that particular thing much, so you need to talk to some other professionals who do. But I just know that it's hard to hold somebody against their will, despite whatever red flags they have. And so whatever and you said that she's been struggling with suicidal thoughts for years. I don't doubt that. I think many people do. But, at the same time, we don't lock every suicidal person up with suicidal thoughts, because unless we think they're literally, I've got a gun and at, 6 o'clock tonight, I'm going to go under a bridge and blow my brains out. That's the kind of thing you need to get them in the hospital. Short of that, it's really hard. We can't just be putting people up, and it's part of the system. I don't know what the answer is. You can't just lock everybody up who has homicidal or suicidal ideations. It's a subjective analysis of whether or not it's a risk assessment. And, I don't know her mental health history. I don't know who worked with her, who did what, who knew what. Clearly, this was a train wreck a long time in the making. But it's just, I'm just saying that mental health clinicians are somewhat limited, even if they see red flags, those red flags have to be really red for anybody to do anything about it. And even then, what the system can do is pretty limited.
Without attempting to reveal too much about you, Brian, do you work in that field?
I have.
Because I'm just, do you believe that therapists need more in terms of ability to recommend a treatment that might include involuntary incarceration? Or I mean, because I get what you're saying. For a long time in American society, we kind of defaulted to lock them up. And I think it's easy for us to say we should go back to that. I think that's an easy thing to say on a talk radio show. I think it's a much more difficult thing to do in terms of a belief that I have in individual freedom and liberty. And unless you demonstrate that you're a danger to yourself or to others, then you ought to have you have the right to be off. You have the right to be a countercultural, you have the right to think differently. You have the right to, for the lack of a better way of saying it, be crazy if you're not a danger to other people. And we've swung the pendulum that way, but if you do that, if you swing the pendulum that way, you risk that someone like this can walk through some of those fissures in the system and end up with 6 people dead. And I don't have an answer either.
I think it's a discussion, obviously, the public has to continually have. And I think that it's a legal issue. It's not just like what a mental health clinician thinks, although you should have their input. But ultimately, every licensed mental health professional has to worry about getting sued and losing their license and their ability to provide for their family. And so you make one wrong step and you can screw your career up. And so at the same time, you don't want to be responsible for anybody dying unnecessarily. So it is really a razor's edge position to be in, making those kinds of decisions. But ultimately, the laws on the books, and I'm not all that familiar with them now, but they determined, what needs to be reported when and what happens if they are reported and who, what it takes. You should probably get somebody who works in a psych hospital to talk to you about this. But it's like
I thought that if you, and you might have more info than me, but I thought if you told your psychiatrist that you were suicidal, that they had the ability to act on that.
They may have the ability to act on it. Could refer for an evaluation, but lots of people have suicide. You'd be surprised, actually, how many of a lot of folks from time to time have the thought of wishing they were dead, all the way to, I can't take this crap anymore. I'm going to check out. To the extreme other end of it is I've actually have the method to do it, and I've planned it, and I'm for sure going to do this, and I'm getting my affairs in order. There's a whole continuum there. And so it really is a little bit more nuanced than if you just get some suicidal thoughts or not. And same thing with homicidal, of course, is more scary. I mean, suicide is bad too, but you certainly don't want to see a suicidal person take others out with them. That's even worse. But it's just the thoughts alone. You really got to look at the thoughts themselves and the context, the person, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sorry that I'm out of time, but I simply am, Brian. I obviously this is going to depend on the individual circumstance of how all of this is brought up, and I don't pretend to be able to diagnose this. I am unqualified to diagnose these subtleties, nor do I pretend that you can diagnose every individual case on the radio. And I mean, I think we're overgeneralizing an incredibly complex issue, which is the human brain and human psychology. And where's the demarcation line between someone saying, sometimes I just don't want to live anymore. Sometimes I think, life would be better off if I'm just not here. That's one thing versus, declaring that you are very much contemplating ending your own life. That's another thing. And if you are, I encourage you to get assistance or to get help from one of the available resources. I think it's a dangerous thing to say, well, you can be suicidal and, the doctors can't do anything about it. I don't think that that's necessarily the case. It's 52 after the hour. One of our super texters, Matt, says, from your tone and demeanor, you seem totally fatigued with getting to the bottom of this story. I get it, but you also have to accept that some people may have more gas in their tank on this one. Well, what I would say is, yes, you are absolutely correct. I am fatigued in as much as people want to find it occurs to me that people want to find just that magic bullet. It feels like a lot of people want to just say, well, she was crazy because she was transgender and that explains everything. That does not explain everything in this case, nor will it. And when it comes to motivations, trying to diagnose what motivates crazy people, I believe, is a fool's errand. But I'm willing to listen to exactly what the point is about having more gas in the tank on exploring these questions. I'm not against the questions. I just think people are looking for answers that they're never, ever going to find. Did you ever find answers about Sandy Hook? Did you ever find answers about Parkland, really? Did you ever find answers about Uvalde? Have we ever found answers? I mean, I could go on and on and on. 54 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you, gentlemen. Here's the deal, folks. If you have a man in your life that feels run down, sluggish, and doesn't know why, is it his T level? It could be. And if it is, don't you want to know? We need to know certain numbers in our life, gentlemen. We need to know the blood pressure. We need to know our cholesterol numbers, and you need to know what your T level is. Because if it has dipped to low levels, it can affect you. It can affect intimacy in your life. It can affect other aspects of your life, like energy levels at the gym or, a willingness to get out and work in the yard, whatever it might be. If it's impacting the way you live your life, you need to get to the Tennessee Men's Clinic. There's 2 locations, no excuses. One in Midtown, been there since 2014. The other opened up a couple of years ago in the Franklin, Cool Springs area. Let's make the call. One phone number for both of those locations can get you an appointment with a qualified urologist at Tennessee Men's Clinic today. 615-208-9090, 208-9090, or online at TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Tell them Murphy sent you to the Tennessee Men's Clinic.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
J.K. and Erica Brister are the owners of U.S. Pest. They're fine Americans. That's not the reason to call U.S. Pest. It's icing on the cake, though. They're great American people. They fly American flags over every billboard you see with U.S. Pest on it. Now, U.S. Pest, they're the best in the business when it comes to pest control and when it comes to eliminating pests in your home or on your property, whether it's termite protection or those nasty, stinky pests that you just can't stand seeing in your house, like spiders and ants and stink bugs and roaches and silverfish and brown recluse spiders. Don't put up with that. Get with U.S. Pest. They do crawl-space service, termite protection, full-service pest control at a 100% money-back guarantee. Give them a call today at 590-1260. That's 590-1260, or go online to uspest.com. Tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only U.S. Pest.
President Trump unveiling his tariff plan today in a Rose Garden ceremony. We'll have a report. The Trump administration also continuing to lobby for the deportation of Venezuelan gang members. We'll have those stories at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Just got this from the Super Text line. By the way, you're welcome to call in. I know it's an exhausting topic, but an important one considering today the final report from the Metro Nashville Police Department came out about the Covenant School shooting. But this, unrelated to that, Matt, I've been meaning to thank you and Brian staying up late during the last storm. Just tuned in on my phone in the middle of the night. Your calm explanation and commentary on areas of concern were appreciated. It wasn't that close to us, so I rolled over and went back to sleep. The EF2 ended up landing about 10 miles northeast of us. That's Tom and Arlene. Our pleasure. We're here for you in those nasty weather situations, and we'll be here throughout the course of the night tonight as nasty weather rolls through Middle Tennessee. It's 5 o'clock on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. It's 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a full forecast and a traffic report coming up. We are under a tornado watch for, throughout the evening. Again, we'll get you the full forecast here shortly. In a White House Rose Garden event, President Trump unveiling his sweeping tariffs on imports from other countries. Calling it Liberation Day, President Trump promises his move will promote U.S. manufacturing and bring back jobs to America. Economists warn, however, the tariffs could create higher costs for Americans and launch an all-out trade war. During his remarks, the president detailed just how much the U.S. will impose on other countries. He calls them reciprocal tariffs, saying the U.S. will impose tariffs at a 50% calculated rate that's based off what other countries charge the U.S.
For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people.
On another topic, the Trump administration is reiterating its argument before the Supreme Court, urging the justices to allow more deportations of alleged Venezuelan gang members to a prison in El Salvador. Stephen Portney with ABC has the latest.
In its latest filing before the Supreme Court, the Trump administration says it is ensured that no alleged gang member it sends to El Salvador will be tortured, and that the administration would never send them to the infamous Salvadoran prison for terrorists if the government knew it would violate the Convention Against Torture. The Justice Department accuses District Court Judge James Boasberg of a rush to judgment, and it urges the High Court to lift his temporary order, which has blocked further deportations under the Alien Enemies Act.
Moving out west, charges have been filed against a Central California man who's accused of opening fire inside of a Walgreens store over his hatred for large pharmacies. Alex Stone, he's in Los Angeles.
Narciso Fernandez is now facing charges of murder and attempted murder with gun enhancements for allegedly walking into a Walgreens in Madera, California, north of Fresno on Monday night, shooting out a surveillance camera and killing an employee. Then he allegedly fired at others as they ran out of the store. The police chief in Madera tells ABC News Fernandez has a hatred for large pharmacies like Walgreens, but why isn't clear. He did not know the Walgreens worker who died. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Well, this story will either break your heart or send you running to thrift stores to try on all the jackets and look in the pockets. What's that all about? Well, listen to this.
76-year-old Mildred Simone Relito says there's not much she can do except cry out loud. She bought a lottery ticket last May at the Shop and Save in Murraysville, Pennsylvania, and put it in her pocket.
I remember saying, if I put it here, I won't forget it.
2 weeks later, when she saw the numbers,
I realized that it won. It hit.
Only by the time she realized it, she had donated the coat the ticket was in to Vietnam Veterans of America. She's gone back to Shop and Save. They confirm she's got to have the physical ticket to win her $2.5 million prize.
Oh, my gosh, $2.5 million. And the ticket expires on May the 8th. We do have a tornado warning for Benton County. Of course, that's considerably west of here, west of, the next county over from Humphreys County. But anyway, that's just indicative of perhaps the kind of evening we may be in for. So please stay with us here on 99.7. We've got your traffic and the official weather report coming up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Near Franklin, 65 southbound, that crash that has the right 2 lane blocks just past Murfreesboro Road. That would be Highway 96. Looking at traffic cameras, traffic pretty well at gridlock there, so you're going to sit there a while. 40 eastbound at the Broadway exit, pretty much all of downtown 40 is messed up because of that. Also 65 northbound, that's coming into the city at Wedgwood. We've got a crash there. And the on-ramp still blocked from Haywood Lane onto 24 eastbound due to a crash. I've got your traffic every 10 minutes here this afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy, and this is the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 8 minutes after 5 o'clock, and I am pleased as can be that you have decided to join us for a moment or two. Maybe it's just on the drive home. Maybe you're just getting in your automobile, ready to go home, need some headlines, need to figure out what the heck's going on in the world. We'll try to satisfy you as you head on to the house. Perhaps you've been here for the full 2 hours and have 2 more hours to go. We thank you the most. I'll tell you who is here, and that is our man Cameron Smith. I feel like I've seen a lot of him today. Hey, I got big news. By the way,
yeah, we
Cameron,
do.
You got big news too, but I know when. Do you know when? When it drops? You know when it's
I
dropping?
don't know.
You
I'm
don't
excited.
know. See, I do. See, I do have big news.
Oh, yours is better than mine.
It's big news. You've been hearing about the brand new podcast featuring Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy called All the Best Words.
Yep.
I say all the best words.
I write them.
And then we do a podcast. We call it All the Best Words. We thought it was nifty. There's a neat little concept involved in it, too, that I bring a word and Cameron brings a word, and he doesn't know what my word is, and I don't know what his word is, and I throw my word on the table and we talk about it, and then he throws his word on the table and we talk about it. And most often I expect these will be unrelated subjects. One of these days when we do the podcast, we'll have the same word. I'm already, after 2 podcasts in, I'm looking forward to that day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. I mean, because we just, yours was, are we allowed to say the words?
You can say the words, yes.
Well, the one that struck me was proxy.
Yes, I said proxy.
Yeah. And I was like, I wonder what this one's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it was voting by proxy.
It was voting by proxy, and we had a good exchange on that. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So
you had words as well. One of your words was a series of words. I don't know what to do with it, but that's fine. One of your words was Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Well, it's a proper noun.
I understand. I get it. I didn't say anything about it at the time.
Yeah.
But you know what? A part of me was like, well, that's just me being a jerk. That's it. I can't help my jerky
other word
self.
was due process. We didn't get to it. We will get to due process. But that's 2 words, but it's one thing.
I get it. Well, words and concepts.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like you established the theme. And anyway, it is dropping tonight at 7 o'clock.
Well, I'll be literally here for that.
The first episode of All the Best Words drops. You can find it where you find your podcasts, and you can find it on our social media platforms. You can find it at 99.7 WTN, getrighmurphy.com. And it's dropping. The audio platform's dropping. The video platform's dropping. It's all dropping.
Yeah. Well, and this is designed to not waste your time either.
Right.
They're individual settings. We're talking 10, 12 minutes, folks. We're not talking 30 minutes, 2 hours.
In and out, baby.
Let's go.
So we're wrapping up a conversation, and you're welcome to join in on it at 615-737-9986. But we were discussing the final report that came out by the Metro Nashville Police Department. A lot of people want to find a lot of enemies in this story. A lot of folks want to tie up what I think are loose ends that will never be tied up. A lot of folks want to make sense of the senseless, and that is an impossible task in a lot of different ways. That doesn't mean that the questions in a lot of other ways aren't warranted. It doesn't mean that they are not important to ask. I just go into this understanding that when you're dealing with mentally unstable individuals, sometimes you're going to be left confused as to why in the world evil exists in the world and how that level of mental instability can manifest itself the way that it did.
You're trying to make sense out of someone that by definition has thinking that we don't share.
Right.
And that's just, it's tough to do.
It is. If not, in some ways impossible. Someone, and I just want to tie this question up because we've gotten it a lot. Where's the manifesto? Where's the manifesto? Where's the manifesto? It has been an unfortunate 2 years that we've been using this term. I understand why it started. I understand why we've used it. This person did not write a quote-unquote manifesto. This person, over her years and years and years of mental illness, wrote in journals. Mm-hmm. She has a lot of journals. I think there's like 50 of them.
Right.
And if collectively that's what you want to call her, quote, manifesto, that's not what it is. These are ramblings and writings of someone who is mentally unstable at best and mentally ill at worst. And many of these pages have been released. I think Michael Patrick Leahy with the Tennessee Star released 80-plus pages of it.
Yeah.
So if you want to see some of that, We are told that the rest of it is just like what you see, which is just rambling and what you would expect out of a teenager or 20-something-year-old journal, right? A lot of anger, a lot of confusion, and a lot of mental soul-searching, and from a spiritual perspective, a lot of evil. But there is no manifesto. There's no document by which this individual sat down and said, this is why I'm doing this, here are the reasons, this is what I want to change, yada, yada, yada.
And don't assume that there's something hidden here. When I worked in Washington, D.C., when I worked in the Capitol, we would have folks come in from time to time, and they would give us serious documents, and they would contain ramblings, like thousands of pages of ramblings. And this is the kind of thing that we're getting is somebody's really unwell. And the biggest mistake we make in these contexts is trying to rationalize the insane, to say, well, maybe there's a thing here, and then we can learn this thing and prevent. I just don't think you can. I don't think there's a big takeaway here of, well, we can get this, and then we can prevent this from happening in the future. And that's what everybody wants. I just don't think we're going to get it.
Ray writes in and says, I consider all of her writings to be a manifesto. They serve the same purpose. Yeah, I just think manifesto, when you say that word, it carries a different type of weight.
It's a term of art. I mean, when we're talking manifesto, this is here's what I believe and why. Like Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf manifesto.
Ted Kaczynski believed that the industrialization of the world was destroying the world, and as a result, he wrote out his feelings in his manifesto, and as a result, he killed people.
Right.
Through bombing them. He was the Unabomber. So I don't think that's not what this is. These are, I mean, and I guess it's all about, your perspective on the thing. One way or the other, if every bit of these writings were released, I don't think we're going to glean anything additional from it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I defer to openness, and that I don't like the idea. And I was talking about the one of the words that I used on our podcast, which was covenant. That I don't like the idea of our government that we empower to protect and to serve us, shielding us from information that they think is going to be harmful or unpleasant. That's not what they're there for. That's not what they should be doing. So I default to openness, and if at some point, if these writings got into the public realm, I don't have a problem with that necessarily.
Right.
But I'm just here to tell you that I don't think we're going to learn anything from them other than this woman was crazy.
Yeah, I think we need probably clearer standards in defining open investigation. That to me is something that's relevant here because we knew that the person that perpetrated the crime was deceased. There's not, I understand initially making sure that there's not other people involved, things like that. But once you know this is an individual, they planned a crime, perpetrated the crime, and now they're dead, there's no more investigation at that point. There's no legal process to undertake because they're dead. And so at that point, the ongoing investigation thing doesn't carry any water, and it can't be used as a shield to hide information.
We'll get a couple of calls in here on this and shift our attention to what's going on in Washington, D.C. Some titillating tariff talk later on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Right now, it's Camel's turn. Hello, Camel.
Hello. Is this Matt I'm talking to?
It is. Am I saying that right, Camel?
That's not my real name, but yeah.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. That's all good.
So you're talking about the Covenant shooting in Nashville?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, first of all, I live here first of all, I don't know what was going on with that person, but I think she had some serious stuff going on, but maybe she was untreated. And I have a personal experience. We have a normal family, we think, and my son was diagnosed with schizophrenia, paranoid schizophrenia, and he's doing great now. But the mental health system, at least in Nashville, if you're like 15, 16-year-old, you can refuse medication and counseling and food. And that's what I was so frustrated with. And I feel like a lot of these people, I have conservatorship at this point because I didn't want him to be homeless. And when I think about the girl that I don't know how old she was, but once you get to a certain age, you can only be admitted to, like as a parent, if I have an 18-year-old, I cannot put them in the hospital unless they try to hurt themselves or someone else. And I think that's very, very wrong. And that's why I feel like there's a lot of things.
Camel, hold on. I may have misheard you. You said that if you're a parent and you have an 18-year-old, you can't.
Nope.
Say that again. You can't
when
put them
they're
in.
18 years old, unless it's changed, the only way you can help your child, but your 18-year-old, is if they try to hurt themselves or somewhere else.
Yes.
Or someone else.
Yes.
But they can also, manipulate the system. And so that's why there's homeless people out here. And I feel like my job is to change. And my son is doing amazing. We got him help. I have conservatorship. I hate it. He's in college. But I just feel like there's just so many things that happen, with school shootings. And people, I don't know. I just feel like our law should change because I don't know. What do you think? You may not know about it, but it's really personal to my heart.
Well, I do. I mean, I know that in the system that we have now, that the standard is that you can involuntarily incarcerate a grown person if, like you said, that they demonstrate. I think it's imminent. I think there was legislation, and y'all tell me if y'all recall this. I'll have to look it up, but I think there was legislation that changed the language from imminent to something else. Or maybe the language was immediate and they changed it to imminent. They tried to loosen the language, I think, in this General Assembly, Camel, where it gave analysts and psychologists a better ability to admit someone, or family members a better ability to admit someone, that it was not a direct threat, but it could be an indirect threat to themselves or other people.
But I get that and understand that. But if they're not going to a therapist and you just see it at home, there's no way you can go to an emergency room. It's just I feel like.
But there's a reason for that. There's a reason that there's a high standard.
You tell me, because you probably know more than I do.
Yeah,
I don't know that you do.
Yeah, this is Cameron Smith. The reason that we have to be real careful here, and this is why. Have you ever heard of red flag laws with gun ownership? So basically, there are states that say, hey, if we observe these things about you, then we can preemptively take away your gun rights, and then a judge will sort it out and we'll figure it out to make sure everyone's safe. The reason that it's hard and should be hard to have someone involuntarily committed or force them to take medication particularly once they reach the age of majority, is we have rights in the United States that apply to you, that you can't have life, liberty, property taken from you without a due process of law. And so that the assumption is that nobody, even including your parents, can come in and do that without there being legal process. And I understand why that's inconvenient, but the flip side is a problem too.
Well, I just feel like if you're a parent and their child's living at your home, and then you're seeing these issues, like this is not right, I feel like that as a parent, even if the child's 18 years, and I'm different. I have conservatorship and I don't want it. But there's other people who are homeless and doing things that there's no one to help them.
Sure.
So, I mean, the question then becomes, what would you want the standard to be? If you loosen it to allow for involuntary confinement in a mental institution, then what does that look like?
I just think it looks like if you're homeless, you probably have no one to help you, because being in our situation, we almost gave up after 4 years. And our son is in college, and he's doing amazing because he had us support him. All these people on the street, they don't have that.
So we should.
I don't know the solution. I just feel like say my son or my daughter was living with me and they were 19 and they were in college, I could see an issue there. I could not force them to go and get help unless they tried to hurt themselves or someone else.
That's true.
You offer a tremendous amount of food for thought. And Camel, I take your concern and I take your questions with the seriousness that you offer them. And I thank you for the call. I do have to move along, but there is no easy answer. If there were, I think someone would have already answered the question. You know, where is the line? I mean, right now the line is, are you a threat to yourself? I mean, because it's not illegal to be homeless.
No, it's not. And this stuff's really unfortunate. I've actually experienced it in my own home with the different children that have made their way through our house, that if a child, particularly near the age of majority, says, I don't want to take my meds, I don't want to do that, I can't force them to do that.
Right.
And I actually am okay with that. I understand why, if you want to help somebody, you want the ability to intervene, particularly parents do. But there's a point at which your child is now an adult, and we've got to respect the rights of that individual and make sure that depriving them is difficult.
Cameron Smith is with us for the better part of this hour. We've got Nincompoops coming up in about 10 minutes or so. Your telephone calls on this subject right now. We'll also discuss voting by proxy, amongst other things. It's the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk. You know, I've lost a few lbs over the last several months, and I'm wearing a couple of my clothing items that I picked out from Volunteer Outfitters. I intentionally got a size below what I normally would get because I knew that I would fit into them. And now I'm into these Drake pants. I absolutely love them. I'm into some of these clothes, and they're like, man, Murphy, you look great. Yeah, I look great. Where'd you get that clothes? The shirt. Where'd you get those pants? Volunteer Outfitters. So good. I mean, it's not just for the hunter. It's not just for the outdoorsman, but it's what they do. It's their specialty at Volunteer Outfitters. They got T-Shirt Tuesday. Is today Tuesday? No, dadgummit, we missed T-Shirt Tuesday. Next week, we're going to get there. T-Shirt Tuesday means any purchase, you get a free T-shirt on Tuesdays at Volunteer Outfitters. Plus, they got Huck, they got Drake, they got AFCO, they got Orca, they got Extra Tough Boots. I mean, anything for the outdoorsman, anything for the hunter. They got logo designs. They got a lot. I'm just going to say it. Bama fans, they get some Bama gear because their name is Volunteer Outfitters. And I think the Bama fans are keeping away. If you want some great gear for the Bama fan in your life, go to Volunteer Outfitters. They got all kind of other name brand apparel and all kind of collegiate logoed apparel as well. They're open 10 to 6 Tuesday through Friday, 10 to 4 on Saturday on New Shackle Island Road. Go see them and tell them I sent you to Volunteer Outfitters. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy here for Roll Call 3.0. That's right. Roll Call 3.0 is coming to Nashville, Tennessee this May 2nd and 3rd. Hosted by Jason Whitlock, who's appeared on my show from time to time. We'll have him back before Roll Call. And featuring, wait for it now, Tucker Carlson. It's a 2-day event. You don't want to miss it. It's more than just a conference. It is a true call to action. Roll Call is all about uniting bold, faith-driven men to stand strong in today's culture. It kicks off Friday, May 2nd with a VIP evening at 3rd and Lindsley, featuring a conversation with Jason and Tucker, live country music from Randy Houser, and comedy from Steve Byrne. Saturday, the event moves to Rocketown for a full day of inspiration, insight, and high-impact speakers. Speakers include powerful voices from across the country, like Murfreesboro Alan Jackson of World Outreach Church, musical performances by Damian Horn, and the Duggar Band. Hey, the Duggar Band's going to be here tomorrow afternoon at 6 o'clock. I just thought about that. Roll Call 3.0 is about faith, fellowship, and fearless conversation. So, friends, get details and grab your tickets right now at fearlessrollcall.com. That's fearlessrollcall.com. You don't want to wait on this. The event will sell out. fearlessrollcall.com.
President Trump finally unveiling his tariff plan today in a Rose Garden ceremony. We'll have a report on that. And weather certainly in the news. Extreme weather. It's in the forecast in the Midwest as well as our area. In fact, there's a tornado warning issued for Benton County. Granted, that's a considerable distance west of the metro, but still perhaps indicative of what we may be in for as the evening progresses. Those stories coming up at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Jay Harper. We're fast approaching the time where we'll hand off to Jay and offer him an opportunity to deliver those headlines for you in just a moment. I want to get to Laurie real quick. Laurie, we're going to put a kind of a cap on this conversation about the Covenant shooting observations from the Metro Nashville Police Department. Laurie, thank you for calling.
Yes, hi. I kind of wanted to put a little bit of where I was at a point in my life. The environment or the chemical makeup of your brain or a combination of both can put one over the edge. I was in a situation where I kind of asked a question and it kind of put me over that edge. And the only thing that stopped me from doing any self-harm or harm to others was to have a moment of thought, clarity. And most people don't have this in the situation. And that was go to the hospital. Go directly to the hospital and tell them, I need help and I need it now. Now, I was living in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, when you have a fleeting moment, you are awarded and granted safety of the state of Florida. So basically, they take you in and they say, "You're not doing good. We're going to put you in a mental, place to help you through this." Well, the thing is what they want to do at that moment is they want to put you on medication, whether it's right for you or it's not. They don't know what your chemical makeup is. When your brain loses a part of a chemical, the others overreact. So now you've got dopamine, you've got another one. So it's fight or flight. So if you're in a situation emotionally or chemically or whatever it may be, your first thing is to fight. And I think in this situation, it was a hopeless moment where she couldn't pull herself out of it, whether it was, a thought process at the moment or one that she'd been thinking about for a while. She needed help.
She had been she had been determined to kill other people for years and years and years.
No. Well, yeah, and I understand that. I understand that part of it.
I mean, there's no there. It is a fact.
No, you're right. And there isn't, and it is an absolute fact.
Yeah.
But, it just kind of comes down to, it's fight or flight. It's fight or flight, whether it's for a moment or it's been over years.
I don't Laura, I'd love to explore more on this. I can't because I'm out of time. I'm trying to understand what fight or flight means in this circumstance. specific to covenant. I don't know that I fully understand that, but I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to listen. But I've got to run at this point. It's 32 after the hour on Super Talk.
Good afternoon. We are 33 minutes now past 5 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories, a full forecast and a traffic report coming up. In a White House Rose Garden event, President Trump unveiling his sweeping tariffs on imports from other countries. Calling it Liberation Day, the president promised that his move will promote U.S. manufacturing and bring jobs back to America. Economists warn, however, the tariffs could create some higher costs for Americans and perhaps launch an all-out trade war. During his remarks, the president detailed just how much the U.S. will impose on other countries, starting with a 10% baseline tax on imports from all countries. Then he says there will be a higher reciprocal tariff on nations that already charge us at a 50% calculated rate. Karen Travers, she has more.
Notable not on this list. We didn't see them on the chart. We didn't see them in the documents that have been handed out to reporters. Canada and Mexico, the U.S. top trading partners. And obviously there's been a lot of tension and back and forth with the administration and the leaders of Canada and Mexico. They've been targeted in previous rounds. There have been some off-ramps, then things have been put back in place. But it seems like they're not part of these two tariff rounds that are going to go into effect in the coming days.
Now getting to some weather news. I know folks very interested in that. Forecasters are calling for perhaps a once-in-a-generation extreme weather event this week as tornado outbreaks are possible all through the Midwest and, of course, parts of the South. Behind that, the same area is at risk for some extreme flooding. Tornadoes have already been confirmed in Oklahoma, one of which went through the Owasso neighborhood this morning. This is where Dr. Chris Barnes lives with his family.
I had about 30 to 60 seconds from the time we actually heard the tornado warning to grab my wife, get her out of bed. She grabbed her family's Sicilian Bible that was brought over through Ellis Island, and she began to pray over her home. And we were very fortunate that nothing really bad happened around here.
We'll have your weather forecast and a traffic report. Currently, there is a tornado warning for Benton County. Of course, that's west of the Nashville Metro. Again, stay with us here on 99.7 WTN. We'll keep you up to date on the weather goings on. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, still trying to clear this crash 65 southbound past exit 65. That's actually Highway 96. The right two lanes are working hard to clear all that down in the Franklin area. 24 westbound at Bell Road working to clear that crash. Centennial Boulevard just east of Briley Parkway in the Bordeaux area. We picked up a wreck there. And finally, Charlotte Avenue at 38th Avenue North. A crash there. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There are simply huge savings on all models at Nashville Safe House going on right now. They offer the best selection of home safes, gun safes, high security safes, corporate safes, and vault doors in the industry. I would put their selection at Nashville Safe House up against anybody's selection. And that includes anybody in the United States of America, and that means that they have the best selection in the world. Right now through April 15th, they have rebates of up to $400. Nashville Safe House is the largest Browning dealer in the, wait for it, U.S. of A. That means the world. No one sells more safes in Tennessee than Nashville Safe House, of any models, of any shape, of any size. Huge savings on select models right now, but there's more. The Safe House also has certified delivery crews in the area. Don't let any knucklehead or crackhead deliver your safe. Let's get it delivered from a certified delivery crew at Nashville Safe House. The special event happens through April 15th with $400 in rebates. Ask them about it at NashvilleSafeHouse.com or go by 4th Avenue South in Nashville, across from City Cemetery. Tell them I sent you to Nashville Safe House. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. It is 5:41. We're about to get into nincompoops in the news in just a moment. Take a turn toward the lighthearted after what has been a very serious day discussing the revelations in the Metro Nashville Police final report on the Covenant School shooting from 2+ years ago. Last week, y'all might recall that last week we had some fun in the 6 o'clock hour with our brand new band, Wasted Bacon. You remember Wasted Bacon?
I remember. I mean, how could you forget?
How could you forget?
Yeah.
We were trying to come up with a song toward the end of the show, specifically for our morning show buddy, Dan Mandis. And what we did, Wasted Bacon is a purely AI-generated band phenomenon.
Yeah, phenomenon. It's
that
really
is managed by, I mean, you are the, who is the Beatles guy? George...
Not George Wallace.
No. That's which one? The black comedian or the white segregationist? I forget. It was George.
What was his name?
Oh, y'all know who I'm talking about? Apple Records, George.
If you would not have said it, I would have been able to tell you.
Jay Harper, you got anything?
I mean, are you talking about his producer?
I'm talking about
the Beatles' producer was George Martin, but you must be referring to somebody else.
George Martin. I am producer. Did I say manager? I meant producer.
Yeah. Okay, producer was George Martin.
Well, so you are like the George Martin, Cameron Smith, of our new virtual band, Wasted Bacon.
Mm-hmm.
Wasted Bacon was inspired by an experience that Cameron and I had last week where we walked through an auditorium full of we saw plate after plate after plate of food that would not be eaten with bacon on it. And had we a gallon-sized Ziploc bag, we would have taken all the bacon.
Yes, we would have.
But there was no gallon-sized Ziploc bag available. So we created a band called Wasted Bacon. We've already gotten some songs out there. If you were listening last week, you probably can, hum a few of them because they're very hum-worthy. Well, Cameron just told me before we came back from break that we have the Dan Mandis song ready.
We do. Yeah, I'm sending it right now.
And he's sending it over.
So when I just off the cuff said Wasted Bacon sounded like a good band name.
And it does.
I took the weekend to start playing with some of the different things I could do, rewriting lyrics, and I'm telling you, the Dan Mandis song is really
It's
good.
tip top.
It's there.
So are we saying still the program? You paid for this program, right?
Yeah, I did.
But this is completely generated by artificial intelligence.
Yes, there's no,
all the music, the voices, you've manipulated
the only
some
thing
of the
that
lyrics.
I've really manipulated is some of the prompts and most of the lyrics, because some of the lyrics are just, they don't make any sense.
Right.
So
you kind of manipulate those a little bit. But like you start off by saying, we were doing this last week, you say, hey, I want you to do a song called, How the Sausage is Made. It's about whatever, politics or whatever. I mean, you kind of give them some parameters and just let it go.
Yes. And then they pop something out.
Excited.
Now I know how to play with it. Then I build it.
All right. We'll get into that coming up in just a couple of minutes. Right now, it's 44 minutes after the hour. You fellas know what time it is. It's time for Nincompoops.
Nincompoops in the news.
It's a four-way race for Nincompoop of the day on Super Talk 99.7 WTN on these Wednesdays, as Cameron Smith always joins in. He makes it a habit of, what do? You just go into the old Google machine and just type in some language and see what pops up?
I literally, same thing every single time is I just type in Florida man.
And
That'll do it. Yeah.
And almost seems too easy. But Jay Harper is with us this week in the absence of Ken Weaver. There's Chris Weber behind the glass. Matt Murphy here. Cameron Smith here. Now is the time for us to select and present our Nincompoops to you, and you are all of the judges. You get to judge 615-737-9986 who your favorite Nincompoop would be. By a show of hands, who wants to go first?
Me.
All right. Weber's on top of it.
I'm ready.
Let's go.
Feeling confident.
Mine's a shorty. Houston, Texas. 3 girls, supposedly sisters, ages 14, 15, and 16.
Supposedly.
Reportedly grabbed kitchen knives and chased their mother through the home into the street, attempting to stab her. Authorities say one of the teens struck the mother with a brick. They also knocked their grandmother over while she attempted to protect her daughter. Despite the violent attack, neither women sustained serious injuries. All 3 teens were arrested and charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and have been booked into the Harris County Juvenile Facility.
Yikes.
Why did they do this, you may ask? Because the mother turned off the Wi-Fi.
Yes, I saw that story.
Serious business.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Don't turn off our Wi-Fi, man. Or woman.
So I got a trio of nincompoops.
Those are 3 nincompoops, no doubt about it. They'll be paying for that for some time. Jay Harper?
All right, I'm kind of debating which one to go with here. I'll flip a coin and go with this one. All right, this Dateline, Phoenix, Arizona. An Arizona man suspected of DUI. He was caught in a rather precarious situation when deputies pulled him over, and he had his finger stuck in a can of White Claw after he had crashed into a guardrail. When approached, the driver fumbled around with the can, tried to hide it, and assured the police he was totally perfect.
It ain't a White Claw, man.
Yes, despite evidence to the contrary. He was arrested on multiple DUI charges for causing damage to county property. He didn't hurt anybody, but the hard seltzer excuse was not expected to hold up in court.
You think he was embarrassed because it was a White Claw, not like a PBR?
I hope so. Yeah, exactly.
Natty Light.
Some people just own it.
Yeah.
Have y'all had a White Claw? Have you had a White Claw?
I've had a sip of one.
Same.
Yeah.
It was gross.
Yeah,
I mean, what? I mean, it's not. I don't know. Gross.
Gross.
It's like a seltzer.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, it's a hard seltzer and not a fan.
I've realized that I don't like hard seltzer.
Yeah, me either.
So I'm the only White Claw fan on the program today.
It's fine, Nancy.
Seems like it.
Oh wait, did I say that out loud? I'm not a White Claw fan, actually. You know what I am a fan of, and I get so much holy hell about this. I'm a Zima man, and I was a Zima man back in the day. And before y'all say it, Zima wasn't sweet. Y'all are remembering it wrong. It was a citrusy, malted beverage. It was absolutely delightful. And no, I didn't put Jolly Ranchers in it because that's what the girls did, and I'm a boy, and I drank it straight up and hard, and I loved the Zima, and I make no apologies for it, and we're not going to make a matter of taste a matter of fact on this show. That's a matter of taste, and I loved it.
What kind of lower back?
And I'm not touchy about it at all.
What kind of lower back tattoo do you have?
It says shut your filthy mouth.
Yeah, turn in your man card.
I mean, how many of y'all have had a Zima?
I don't think I ever had a Zima.
I tasted it.
I remember the bottle.
I tasted it, didn't care for it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's fine. That's all fine, Ken. I mean, Ken.
To each his own.
Ken. That's all fine, Jay.
Isn't it like Sprite for alcoholics?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
100%. 100%.
My bad decision were St. Ides. Remember those?
Oh, I do.
Came in the big 16-ounce cans.
Oh, yes, they did.
Multiple fruit flavors.
Uh-huh.
All came up the same color, though. And it was like a neon yellow. Ask me how I know.
I got hooked on the Zima when I worked third shift at Waffle House in college, and beer does not taste good at 7:30 in the morning. I don't care who you are. It didn't to me.
Depends on how long you've been up.
And so I kind of downshifted to the Zima and got kind of hooked on it.
Wow.
They brought it back for a hot minute a couple of years ago. Yeah, go ahead, Cameron. It's your turn, sir.
No, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
The Florida men it's a special breed. Chris Marlowe was dressed as Ronald McDonald, in a bright yellow, red, and white costume and a big red nose as he was wrestled to the ground and arrested for trespassing at a shopping center last week, footage released by the Palm Bay Police Department shows. As he was put in the back of a police cruiser, Marlowe was told by one of the arresting officers, "You look like a clown." To which he responded,
what did he say, Weber?
I am a clown.
Exactly.
Bleep, bleep.
No bleep.
Like yeah.
The suspect shot back, "I am a clown, stupid." Adding to the bizarreness of the arrest, the police department added clown noises to the footage.
Oh, well, that's nice.
So the do while they were exactly. So hopefully Mr. Marlowe will have a better day soon.
I liked it. I think I liked it better when you did it, Weber.
No, that was Ken.
Oh, was it Ken's?
Yeah, that was Ken's.
So you that's a great story. It was fabulously delivered. There are minus points because you've repeated a story.
I didn't repeat it.
Yes, you did. I don't make the rules.
This is
it's
April
unfair.
2nd.
No. Ken Weaver did the story last week.
I'm looking at April 2nd.
April 2nd? That's when they posted it.
There must be multiple clouds.
Okay. It is Florida. I apologize. Hold on a second. I need to back off. I apologize. We are talking about Florida.
Yeah.
It could very well be likely that there are multiple men dressing as Ronald McDonald screaming, "I am a clown, you bleep."
Copycat clowns.
One way or the other, it doesn't matter because I'm winning nincompoops in the news today.
Yeah,
I'm winning, and here's how I know. I'm just going to give you the headline. Y'all want the headline?
Sure.
Y'all ready? Machete-wielding cinnamon bun bandit caught mid-snack, Asheville police say.
Tell me more.
Asheville police, this is Asheville, North Carolina Dateline. Asheville police arrested and charged a man connected to an armed robbery with a machete that took place at a Asheville grocery store on the evening of Monday, March 31st. Officers with the Asheville Police Department responded to the 1600 block of Haywood Road about 5:25 to investigate the robbery. Upon arrival, a store employee told officers the man had stolen a cinnamon bun and incense. I have a picture that I'm going to show you, and it's going to get imminently better. Officers incense. When confronted about the theft of the cinnamon bun and the incense, the man displayed a machete before running away. Officers quickly located the suspect, who matched the description and who was also in the process of eating a cinnamon bun. I didn't do it.
Wasn't me.
Who, me? The suspect was identified as Jeffrey Dwayne Bradburn, 33, who was taken into custody. He is charged with robbery with a dangerous weapon, shoplifting, and possession of drug paraphernalia. And if you can check this out real quick and just give you a little, there's your cinnamon bun bandit. Right there.
Oh, that's a nice do.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Isn't that,
Is that a neck tattoo I spy?
Yeah, you do.
Now you guys getting the idea as to why he needed the incense?
You had to set the mood.
It was either that or bathe. And, God forbid you take a bath and maybe, I don't know, cut those dreadlocks. There it is. That is Nincompoops in the News. You may vote for your Nincompoop of the day. 615-737-9986. Participate, will you? 615-737-9986. And don't take points off of Cameron's story because we're now under investigation that there are multiple
Clowns
Florida
in
men
Florida
dressing like clowns. 53 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Friends, I encourage you to book an appointment today with Shane Ring of Cover Nash to make sure that you're getting the most out of your insurance, the most out of your health insurance plan for your money. Shane Ring, when you sit down with him, will go over all of the available health plan options on the market and help you find the coverage that's based on your health, based on your financial needs. No more call center agents. Shane does his business right there in Brentwood, Tennessee. He's happy to help you. He can sit down with you in person or on the phone. He'll show you how to access in real time the cost of medical procedures or visits that you need by comparing prices of different providers. That way you can find the least expensive option, the best option for you or a family member. I've sat down in Shane's office and I've watched him go through this, and it's pretty incredible. Don't wait. Do this today. 615-465-0023, 465-0023, or go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com for health care coverage managed by you, not by the government. It's Cover Nash. Listen up, folks. I'm going to tell you what's important to your health and your well-being. I want you to call my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville today. That's Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley. They are loving life, and they're loving our President of the United States of America. And they're offering a big 47 deal in 2025 in honor of our 47th President of the United States. Trump didn't give up on America, and Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley, they're not giving up on you. So you can live a pain-free life. You can enjoy the things that you used to enjoy with no pain in the legs, no weakness, no sleepless nights. Just say goodbye to bulges in your discs or a spinal stenosis by going to the Dr. Mitchell and Dr. Ashley Wellness Institute of Nashville. Once again, it's the big 47th President deal, 47% off their non-surgical spinal decompression right now in 2025. Call 615-246-5009, 246-5009, or go to painisbad.com and tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Wellness Institute of Nashville.
President Trump unveiling his tariff plan today. We'll have some details on that. And is Elon Musk growing a little thin at the White House? Also, some area school schedules being affected tomorrow due to the expected severe weather in parts of our listening area. We'll have those stories coming up at 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
There's an empty chair, Cameron. What's
Just
going
whenever you're ready to come back to your radio show.
I was being accused of having... y'all look at this. What color's that?
Red.
Red.
Those aren't red.
They're red.
That's red.
That's many shades of red, sir.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. It looks like a
What
kind
color
of
do you think they are?
Kind of a caramel-colored brown, maybe.
Don't encourage
I'm way
him.
back.
Just say red.
Well, I'm a couple of rooms over.
I bet y'all think my coat is tan too, don't you?
It's brown.
It's like more like
coffee stain. That's
it's an off camel.
Yeah, I was going to say camel hair.
Those shoes are maroon.
Oh,
are they? Oh,
Speaking of maroons, more with Cameron, Chris, and Jay coming up next.
That's
on
red
Super
maroon.
Talk 7 WT.
It is 6 p.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll get that important weather forecast and a traffic report for you here momentarily. President Trump unveiling his new tariff plan in the White House Rose Garden. That happened earlier today. A first round of 10% tariffs on all countries will go into effect on Saturday. ABC's Selena Wang has more on that.
He'll be imposing universal tariffs, a baseline tariff of 10% on all imports from all countries. So this is certain to upend the global trading system. It could have a serious impact on the global economy.
And, of course, Elon Musk, his name has certainly been in the news quite a bit. And it's wondering on the part of a lot of folks, is his time at the White House running out? It's not clear when, but reportedly his role in the Trump administration is set to end at the end of May. We hear more from ABC's Karen Falters on that.
Trump isn't saying behind the scenes that he's soured on Musk. In fact, he remains satisfied and pleased with what Musk has done across the government in terms of cost cutting, despite it being challenged in the courts and despite the pushback here. So I'm sure he will remain a voice in President Trump's ear.
Also, the Menendez brothers. Yeah, you remember them. They've been in prison now for 35 years for the 1989 killing of their parents in Beverly Hills. They say the new district attorney in L.A. is playing politics and trying to keep them locked up. ABC's Alex Stone has more.
Due in court later this month, the Menendez brothers are set to make an argument that they have been rehabilitated in prison over 35 years and that they should get freedom. The new L.A. County DA is opposing that argument.
And the resentencing should not be granted.
In a new court filing, the Menendez brothers' attorney argues DA Nathan Hochman is opposing their release for political gain and not based in facts. They claim his arguments are outdated. A judge could decide their fate, or Governor Gavin Newsom could grant them clemency.
Now, we do have some school schedule changes due to the possible severe weather in parts of our listening area. Again, I've kind of been trying to update this here during the newscast as things have been kind of flying in here. Cheatham County Schools and Ashland City Public Schools, they are going to be closed tomorrow. Clarksville Montgomery County Schools, they are delayed 2 hours. Also, Clarksville Public School delayed 2 hours. Dixon County Schools, Dixon Public Schools, they will be closed tomorrow. The daycare closed as well. Robertson County Schools and Springfield Public Schools delayed 2 hours. And Stewart County Schools, as well as Dover Public Schools, they will be closed tomorrow. Again, this in anticipation of perhaps some severe weather coming down the pike here later on this evening. And we'll keep you posted as best we can on Super Talk. That is traffic and weather. Well, we've got weather and we've got traffic. I'm all over the place. I'm Jay Harper, I think. This is WTN News. Well, we picked up a crash on the South Loop now. 40 westbound at the 2440 downtown split. That's exits 211A and B. Also in the downtown area, 6th Avenue South, just south of Korean Vets. We've got a crash there. In the Bordeaux area, Centennial Boulevard, east of Briley Parkway, clearing up that particular accident. And in Madison, we've got an injury crash now. Gallatin Pike North, just south of Roosevelt Avenue. And in looking at traffic cameras, actually 24 eastbound does not look that bad headed down to Murfreesboro. It's pretty jammed up at the 2440 junction, but once you get past all that, it actually clears out fairly well. We've got your traffic every 10 minutes, every afternoon on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. My name is Matt Murphy. Do me a favor and click that thumbs up button if you're watching on Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. I'd appreciate that. Follow us if you can. Get over there to the X machine and follow me at Matt Murphy Show. I continue to lose followers. I have no idea why. Actually, we've stabilized. I take that back. I'm not losing any, but I'm not gaining any, and I don't understand what's going on. I blame Elon Musk. Spinning his wheels at Doge, spinning his wheels on my platform on the X machine, at Matt Murphy Show. What? I mean, come on. Have you seen the latest? When is Elon going to leave? Elon's going to leave. Elon had a bad was last night, I'm a little all over the map here. Was last night a defeat for Republicans? I mean, I understand that they lost a bit, but on balance, everything that happened,
Wisconsin.
The four big ones, 2 Florida and 2 Wisconsin. I mean, the 2 in Wisconsin, I mean, the voter ID and the Supreme Court thing.
Yeah, we in Wisconsin lost Supreme Court, but won on voter ID, right?
Right, which just goes to show you how much people believe in the idea, the basic idea that you ought to be able to prove who you are when you go to the polls and vote.
Yeah, I think we live in a very so what's kind of crazy for me is I don't think the traditional political lines work anymore. Because there's a lot of policies that the Trump administration, for example, is moving and that Republicans now support that are old Democratic positions. And Democrats are supporting crazy stuff. And they're also now starting to come around and look at Fetterman supporting some of the Republican positions.
Right.
So it's all jumbled.
Yeah. I mean, I have long said, and I'll take full credit for it, because I've said it for a long time, that today's Republicans are yesterday's Democrats.
Yeah.
And today's Democrats are yesterday's socialists. Find me a conservative anymore. It's hard. It's harder and harder. But I also understand that the world kind of moves and political party positions kind of move a little bit too. But, I had it said to me by our mutual good friend Dale Jackson when I was on his show earlier that it was a big loss for Republicans last night. I don't know that it was a big loss. I mean, I think you're not gaining anything or losing anything. The Supreme Court in Wisconsin was 4-3 liberal.
Right.
So that's a wash. I understand that that's a loss given the amount of attention and money, especially by Elon Musk. But I kind of feel like, and I said this at the beginning of the show, I feel there was a little bit of outsider syndrome going on. I don't care who you are and what your position is. I noticed this a lot in Alabama, and I've noticed it a little in Tennessee. When you feel like that there are people that aren't from around here coming in and telling you how you should do things, I don't care how much you agree with them. Sometimes people just kind of dig their heels in and go, no.
That's pretty common. I mean, the notion of you can't tell us what to do
right.
actually is very powerful. And I wouldn't want to run a Republican race right now. I certainly wouldn't want to run one if we have a trade war. But if Trump does as advertised and says, I'm going to lower prices, and he does, I don't care how he does it, if there's some kind of magic I'm missing on tariffs and stuff, then Republicans are situated pretty well. That's my big frustration is on the government stuff, people love reducing the federal bureaucracy. Like all but the most ardent Democrats who are like, government jobs are all the jobs. That's a huge win for Republicans. And then enforcing the law and immigration policy and stuff that he's doing there.
Crime and punishment. Yeah, all of that.
I mean, these are all winners. I'm just saying that the tariffs to me strike me as an unforced political error at a time where you don't need them.
Well, don't you? I mean, is there not room for, he believes that for 50, I mean, I'll give you a microcosmic, almost tried to invent a word,
right?
A microcosm of an example. Donald Trump did not need to, and I know these are different things, but I'm just, the way his mind thinks, okay? He did not need to move the United States Embassy to Jerusalem.
Right.
Part of his rationale was it's the right thing to do, and presidents for the last 50 years have said they're going to do it, said they want to do it, and then they never do it because it's going to be really hard and everyone's afraid of it.
Sure.
Let's do it. I don't know that he needed to tackle government waste, fraud, and abuse in the same way that he is. But he's doing it because he feels like it's the right thing to do.
Sure.
Is it the right, whether you agree with him or not, does he think it's the right thing to do to tackle this issue, even if it hurts him in the short term.
What is the issue that he's tackling? Is that we've been treated unfairly?
Yeah, we have a huge trade imbalance.
Yeah, and
for these countries.
Well, the trade imbalance is not the thing that is the concerning part. The reciprocal tariffs I can buy of like, okay, if you have tariffs on our stuff, we're going to put the same tariff on your stuff. So we'll keep the playing field even.
Sure.
If that's what we were doing here, I concede that argument as a negotiating
across
tactic.
the board.
Yeah, the across the board thing, I'm like, what are we doing?
We're encouraging manufacturing to come back to the United States of America.
We are the second largest manufacturing nation in the world.
Right. Do we manufacture as much stuff as we manufactured 40 years ago?
No.
Not by a long shot.
But do we manufacture more than anywhere else in the world? We accounted for 16.6%.
I don't think we manufacture as much as China.
They're at 31%. We're number 2. We are a massive manufacturing power in the United States. That's
so your argument is
true.
Your argument is we have enough American jobs here in the country and that we ought to be happy to import.
So let's talk about the jobs thing. I think that's really important. The idea that we're going to bring back 1950 style assembly lines just isn't true. We're going to have high value manufacturing, right?
You sound like Obama.
But that's what we're going to do.
You sound like Obama. You know that, right? I'm not saying that to
but
upset
you sound like a union boss that's like, let's make it inefficiently.
Well, no. I'm saying you're saying that forget those manufacturing jobs. They're not coming back.
They can come back, but it's not a 1-to-1. That's unequivocal. That's just a fact. So, like, we're already a great manufacturing location in the world. If you want fairness in trade, fine. But if we're not doing this to bring down trade barriers so that people can buy our stuff easier, which I concede, then what are we doing? Why would we take a nation that doesn't have a tariff on our goods and thump them in the head?
Well, I mean, that reverts back to, it reverts back to that we're trying to negotiate a trade policy with those nations that is more beneficial for the United States of America. And I don't have a list of all the nations, so I can't.
But if they have no
answer
tariffs and we're saying, now you get tariffs, like, that's not reciprocity.
Right. I don't know. Once again, I don't know all of the nations that we're talking about, and I would depend on the hashtag never seen in the world that they're saying that it's a 10% across the board. I've not seen.
Yeah, I've looked at several different outlets reporting the same thing with but it's 10% across the board, and then some folks get custom rates. Like China's was 34%, like Japan's is high. Different countries have them, but then what's going to happen is American competitors of companies that we would otherwise have competition from will say, you know what, I can artificially raise my price 20%. If their tariff's 25%, they're automatically going to have that 25% price hike, so I can raise my prices too. And that's a government.
So you don't believe in the free market?
I believe in the free market, not government-imposed price controls, which is what tariffs are.
Well, tariffs are taxes on imported goods.
Right.
That's not a price control. That's a tax.
I can tell you how much the price control is.
Well, but I mean, the language is words mean things, though,
Wait
Cameron.
A minute,
I mean,
you're a conservative that supports taxes now?
No. We have to have taxes to run things. We have to have taxes to have roads.
Right.
And I'm not a conservative and never have been, but be that as it may. I mean, I'm not a very good libertarian either. I wouldn't be in favor of tax.
Conservative libertarian. I mean, this is the liberal position to say taxes. These are taxes. We want to tax the thing to get revenues for government.
No, we have trade agreements that we are trying to adjust to better benefit the United States of America. And I'm not even arguing in totality that what Trump's doing is right, because I've not seen it in its totality. So I can't argue it. But I would argue that if you're using this to renegotiate trade deals, I think that is a good place to be. And I understand why you would go above and beyond to try to get to the place that you're trying to get to.
But if I'm putting a tax on goods that American consumers are going to pay, when there's no tariff on the other side, that argument doesn't hold.
Like, give me an example of what you're talking about.
So the across the board, not reciprocal tariffs, the across the board 10% is saying if you're a country that sells goods into the United States and you don't have a tariff on ours.
What country are you talking about? Give me an example of a country that is going to be taxed at 10% that is currently at a zero. I mean, I just don't know.
I'll pull it up.
I just don't know of one.
This is the White House saying across the board 10%.
I don't know of any country that is.
That you don't know
currently
of a country with no tariffs. So let me pull one up.
No. What I'm saying is they're going to match the tariffs from those countries,
No, they're saying that even if you don't have one, you get a 10%. We charge a 10% one.
Right.
On your imports.
And what are they charging?
I'm saying that some of them are charging none.
What countries are charging
I'm
none?
looking it
well,
up.
That's what I would love to say. No, I'm all about fewer taxes, and I think that Donald Trump wants to get to net zero. I believe that.
I don't know that. Because
why wouldn't he? What, you think he wants to raise taxes on the American consumer?
I think he is. I don't know why, but that to me is you're inherently raising prices on the American consumer, and you're saying, well, this will shift everything domestically. You're trying to realign a global supply chain to build everything here.
Well, and you seem to be giving up on it. Like, well, that's just the way that it is. We need to accept the Chinese imports as they are.
I'm not saying Chinese. I'm simply saying that,
that's where we get most of them from, Cameron.
My point is that we have supply chains around the world that we want to be our friends. We want to work with. So this idea that Canada or Mexico are somehow our enemy, they're our largest trading partner.
And I use the example on all the best words found on all the places that you can find your podcast. I use the example today that if I go to a car dealer and the car dealer wants the best deal for the car dealer and I want the best deal for myself, and if I eventually walk away because I feel like I'm not getting a deal that I need, that doesn't mean that the car dealer's my enemy. That means that I haven't gotten the deal that is good enough for me. That China might be our enemy, but that doesn't mean that Canada is our enemy because we would walk away from a trade deal with them. That means that we don't feel like we're getting the deal that we need, and if Canada wants to draw a line in the sand, so be it. That doesn't mean that they're not our friends.
So I looked up a couple of the ones that have zero trade or zero tariffs on our stuff would be like Singapore and Hong Kong, right? Mm-hmm. So they have zero. We would say if we send to you, we get 0. If you send to us, we get 10.
Right.
Or you get 10. My point is the goal would be 0 and 0 because that's free trade. That's back and forth.
Sure.
We have access to your market. You have access to ours. My whole point was I thought this was about getting there.
To 0.
To 0 because that's a better deal for everybody. And that's free trade. That's consistent with what I understand and believe to be the best economic system because the government's out of the way.
I don't disagree with that.
So my point is why we're doing it differently now. I don't know.
I don't know. And I was on the radio, so I did not hear from Trump himself, and I've not been able to read what you're reading. Linda is next in Westmoreland. Hey, Linda, how are you?
I'm great. Cameron, I'm not sure where you were during the conversation that Donald had on TV. He had a list of every country, and he had a percentage that every country is tariffing us by, some up to 90%, 80%. You pulled up 2 of them that had 0%. I'm not sure how much business we do with those 2 countries, but you need to do your homework because, man, what he's trying to do is make these other countries pay what we're being tariffed on. And he's not even touching the 90% on that one country, I think was Vietnam. He just put like a 37% tariff on it. So he's not like slamming people with these tariffs. You need to go look at every country and the tariffs that he has put on them.
But that it's not on them. It's on you. You're okay with the tax hike?
I am fine with it.
Okay.
We've got to do this to get to the other side of the fence. We've got to be patient.
What's on the other side of the fence?
We elected him to do.
I'm looking at his tote board here, and Linda, thank you for your call. The tote board, the reciprocal tariff tote board, and every country on there has a percentage that they're charging to the United States. So I don't know. I trust your information over there that the plan involves, but several people are saying that it doesn't involve individual countries that don't place any tariffs on us. I don't know.
Yeah, it said across the board, if this is retaliatory and we're going to do what you do to us, I understand that argument, but the goal should, again, be not to have tariffs.
Well, could it not be that we're going to charge a 10% across-the-board tariffs on all nations that have tariffs on us? Is that Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. I haven't seen that caveat.
I would agree with you that if we're initiating tariffs on countries that have no tariffs on us, I would disagree with that part of the policy.
Sure.
Because that goes against what I want to get to. And what I believe, and I could be wrong, I don't believe that Trump is interested in taxing the American consumer more. I do think he is interested in getting a better balance on monies flowing to and from countries, some of which don't like us very much, some of which do.
But. Yeah, and we should look at that from the global standpoint of China, not in our best interest. I actually understand, hey, we're going to do things here with our trade relationship.
I wouldn't understand the friendlies. I wouldn't understand that as much.
Like if you're my friend, I want low trade barriers. I want this to be easy for us to do business together so that you stay my friend. That's the goal.
4049 says, I love all these tariff experts that call into the show. Well, you know what I love? The tariff expert that hosts the show. That's me, Matt Murphy. Expert not 23 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Defend Systems is a life safety and security consultation firm based right here in Middle Tennessee. You've heard me talking with the owner, Brink Fiddler, quite often about your safety risks when you go out and about. When you're at a school, a church, a place of business, do you know that you're safe? If you're a decision maker, you can make your company, you can make your school or your place of worship a more safe place by contacting Brink Fiddler and Defend Systems. They do active shooter response, workplace violence prevention, site surveys and threat assessments, emergency and intruder action plans. All of this is designed specifically to your facility and whatever your need might be. Defend Systems can be found at defendsystems.com. That's defendsystems.com. Or call today at 615-236-6484. Don't forget about Brink's other company, God-Fearing Gun Owners. It's a wonderful organization. Wear some apparel that you can be proud of. Go to godfearinggunowners.com or defendsystems.com.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
I love the fact that GracePoint Healthcare is a direct pay provider for healthcare in our community. I also love that GracePoint Healthcare understands to treat the entire body with a comprehensive medical approach, getting to the root of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. It goes back to being a direct pay provider. Those two things work hand in hand because they're not beholden to insurance companies, nor are they beholden to pharmaceutical companies. It is why they can get to the root of the issue, figure out what is causing your problems, causing the symptoms, not simply treat the symptoms themselves. GracePoint is also a military veteran-owned practice. Absolutely love it. Patients are treated, as I mentioned, naturally whenever possible. At GracePoint, they believe in helping you, not being told what to do by any other agency exterior to your care and your needs. That's what it's all about at GracePoint. GracePoint Healthcare can be found in the heart of Franklin, 599-6868, 599-6868. GracePoint Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
As promised, President Trump did detail his tariff plan today, and also with the impending severe weather for parts of our area, some area schools are adjusting their schedules for tomorrow. We'll give you the latest. We'll have those stories as well as the day's closing money news at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I was trying to figure out where my jacket was made. Oh, sorry.
So you can determine what kind of tariff you would have paid?
Yeah, what amount of money it would have cost me.
Well,
Sri Lanka.
If they're watching us on a TV, I want all our listeners to know that I'm glad you buy American, and I'm glad you have an American TV.
Zenith. Zenith was American. My grandma had a Zenith.
Right.
Console.
I mean, there's truthfully.
No, there's nothing. Well, would you not like to have American TV?
Yeah, great at a price that I can afford.
Okay. I mean, look. I mean, I understand that you depend on that little Chinese slave labor over there. That's cool. That's
and
all
I'm
good.
glad that you're an advocate for the Chinese youth. I really appreciate that.
I'm very concerned.
Matt the Red.
I'm very concerned.
And I get it. My point is, in a perfect world where we have great competition and there's no political cronyism or grift, then companies would build things in America, they would compete in America, and we'd have great consumer choice. That's not how this works.
Well, here's what I would suggest, that every one of us has a choice when we go to the store and buy things.
That's true.
And you might not have the specific American-based choices that you want, but I have made a point to, in all seriousness, and I know we like to banter back and forth, but I've made a point to turn over the items that I buy and walk away if it's Chinese. And sometimes you can't.
You can't.
Sometimes you need a particular item or some specific type of thing. And, you know.
Well, and look, I argue for free trade, but I like to buy American.
Right.
And I don't mind paying a premium. I just did it. I bought a Rogue Fitness workout thing that was way more expensive than the Chinese competitor, because when it came to my kids working out in my garage, I said, I don't want to take a chance on some knockoff piece of garbage.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not always the case. There's sometimes I don't care. And I want consumers to have the choices, not government to make the choices for me.
Clothing is particularly hard. And let me tell you something. It is so nice when you find that shirt or that jacket or those pair of pants that you really, 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 really like. And you go to the label and you're so nervous about it because you in your heart, you've said, I'm not buying a Chinese product. I'm not buying it if it says made in China. And if it says made in Bangladesh, woohoo! Yes! Vietnam, baby!
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing.
And
India, let's go.
I was looking at the countries that have the lowest tariffs, and we've got not really country anymore, but Hong Kong, Singapore, Brunei, Israel, oddly low tariffs, New Zealand, Australia.
I think they just lowered theirs.
Yeah, I think they may have gone to zero.
Zero, right.
Yeah, they were pretty cheap anyway. But right above us is Japan at 3.7%. So, it's something that I want consumers to make the choice. I don't like government making it.
We'll get to a few of your questions or comments on the issue of tariffs. We made tariffs sexy again. We will also play you the very special song that Cameron Smith has put together for Nashville's Morning News and Dan Mandis. The name of the song by Wasted Bacon is called Throat Coat.
That's correct.
Throat Coat. And if you've ever listened to Dan and Nashville's Morning News, I think you know where this is going. We cannot wait to present it to you. It's the worldwide premiere next on Super Talk.
Good evening, 32 minutes past 6 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A complete weather forecast and another traffic report are just moments away. As promised, President Trump detailing the tariffs he plans to impose on America's trading partners. It includes both a 10% baseline tariff and what he calls reciprocal tariffs on other countries. We hear now from Rachel Scott. She's at the White House.
With the whole world watching, President Trump in the Rose Garden announcing a sweeping set of tariffs on all goods imported to the United States. A move that threatens to upend the global economy and spike the cost of living for American families. The president insists it's necessary to bring jobs and manufacturing back to America.
This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence.
The president declaring a national emergency, imposing a 10% tariff on all foreign imports.
Because of the possibility of some severe weather in parts of the mid-state overnight, some area schools have already adjusted their schedules for tomorrow. Cheatham County schools, as well as Ashland City public schools, closed tomorrow, along with daycare. Clarksville, Montgomery County schools, along with Clarksville public schools, delayed 2 hours tomorrow. Dixon County schools closed tomorrow, along with the daycare. Robertson County schools, as well as the schools there, the public schools in Springfield, they will be delayed 2 hours tomorrow. And Stewart County schools, Dover public schools closed tomorrow. We now turn to our closing money news for the day with Michelle Frenzen.
Stocks swung wildly today, suffering losses in the morning and rebounding in the afternoon as President Trump announced new sweeping tariffs. The Dow gained 235 points, the S&P rose 38, and the Nasdaq ending the trading day 151 points higher. The new reciprocal tariffs are a political and financial gamble for Trump, who says they will eliminate unfair trade practices. But many economists say they could spark an economic downturn and increase inflation, as importers will pass the tariff cost to consumers. Some businesses are already looking at ways to offset the tariffs, or buyers may notice some shrinkflation, all part of a drive to offset the higher costs of tariffs. Tesla is struggling to attract buyers. The electric car company's sales dropped 13% in the first 3 months of this year. Sources familiar with the situation tell ABC News CEO Elon Musk may leave the Trump administration's Department of Government Efficiency next month.
That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News. Well, the crash we had earlier, 440 eastbound after exit 6, it's been moved out of the lanes, but it is still blocking the left shoulder, and folks are having a bit of a delay through there. 40 westbound on the South Loop at the 2440 split. That crash has been moved out of the way, but the residual backups remain. And near the airport, 40 eastbound at Donaldson Pike, we've got a crash. 24 eastbound from at least the 440 24 junction is clearing out nicely, headed down toward Murfreesboro, but still seeing considerable backups and congestion delays all around the city on the interloop there on I-40. We've got your traffic every morning, every 10 minutes in the afternoon as well on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
What a wonderful organization Men of Valor truly is. It was such a blessing to be a part of the Men of Valor breakfast. I hope that you were there with us, and I hope that you experienced the same type of blessings that I received talking to the graduates of the Men of Valor program. They take a recidivism rate that in some cases nationwide is up to 70%. It's well in excess of 50% here in the state of Tennessee, and they turn that rate for Men of Valor graduates into less than 15%. I mean, think about that for a moment. That means that the Men of Valor graduate that walks through the program, that does it the right way, they are that significantly less to offend again. And that's just a blessing because it saves us money. It saves a life. And truly does save a soul as well. Men of Valor needs you volunteers in the prison system, need the volunteers on their campus in Knoxville and here in Nashville in the Antioch area. Can you be a partner with them today? Go to movministry.com. That's movministry.com and help a wonderful organization that is Men of Valor. Hey, just a quick weather warning, by the way. It's Matt Murphy, Cameron Smith with us today. Chris Weber behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. And then there's Jay Harper. He's back in the newsroom. We're going to be here for you tonight throughout the course of the inclement weather. The nasty weather is set to move through. There is a pretty nasty storm up in Robertson County, I want to say. Is that right? Robertson County would be north of Davidson. That looks. Right. Let's get a little storm system up there. In and around the Springfield area. There's rain coming in. This is not the storm system. The storm system that we are anticipating is in Arkansas, Missouri, and Illinois right now, and is moving at a fairly slow rate in a southwest to northeast direction, and it is expected to be in the western portions of our listening area. Gosh, sometime let's make it motion here. I mean, you're talking about 10 o'clock tonight, and these storms seem to, in the overnight hours, ramp up in intensity. So we'll be here for you if you need us on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to get to a few of you on the phones regarding tariffs, and then we're going to get to this song, which is the best thing you're going to hear today. It is from the fabulous band Wasted Bacon, which is an AI invention of Cameron Smith and Matt Murphy. I'll take a little credit, but you're doing most of the legwork. You're really the straw that stirs this band's drink.
Yeah,
you are the managing producer. You're the editor. You're in the studio every day.
I'm actually the lead guitarist, the vocalist, the lyricist, the everything.
I think that's going to be some sort of computer, but that's fine.
Hey.
Cameron's what you would call the whole hog.
He's the whole shebang. You're like a one-man band.
Yes.
The whole hog. I saw what you did there. So we're going to get to that in a second. But right now, Jim is in Murfreesboro with some titillating tariff talk.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Jim, I can.
Yes, I wanted to basically remind you, prior to the income tax coming into the U.S. over 100 years ago, tariffs and import duties is where the United States got a lot of its income for the government. So when tariffs come in and import duties get imposed on goods, it goes into the Treasury, and that helps offset the cost of running the government so that we don't get taxed on the back end through income taxes and other excise
You
taxes.
do get taxed in the form of higher prices.
Well, but let me talk about that. What will happen in a lot of cases, a lot of these countries that are selling this stuff, they will lower their prices, okay, because they know the consumers are only going to pay so much. Number two, importers will also adjust their prices. Also, the fact that the United States is getting money and they're not having to borrow as much, and they're not having to print money, which in a roundabout way makes the dollar more value. So the value with this, and that's a fact. And most economists will tell you that. And so, with the value of the dollar going up, then that impacts what we pay for goods coming in. So, at the end of the tunnel, in the long term, the long game here, on the other side, the amount that we see, the impact to consumers, will be net zero or close to net zero. Another thing these other countries are doing, as Trump said, by charging us tariffs, is they're taking advantage of us. We don't charge tariffs, or as much, and they're charging us more, and that's helping them in many cases to offset their income taxes, because in many cases these countries' their income taxes are outrageous.
Have you ever heard of the Smoot-Hawley Act?
Because of socialism. Let me finish.
Okay.
And also it's helping them to subsidize their industries. Okay. I've heard of the Smoot-Hawley Act. It came about after the Depression, and it was something that was put in, and basically it was just a tariff that was put in there without any rationale as to why we were putting these tariffs in. Trump is putting in reciprocal tariffs, so if somebody's charging us 10%, we charge them 10%.
So what happened with Smoot-Hawley Act?
Well, basically what happened is it not only caused the economy to get worse here, but it impacted the economy across the world.
Right.
Okay, because And so, but this tariffs that we see now are different than the Smoot-Hawley Act.
They'll be better tariffs.
Well, let me finish. You're taking it out of context here without letting me finish. You've asked me about the Smoot-Hawley Act, and I've studied it.
Okay.
The Smoot-Hawley Act was put in there without any regard to what other countries were charging us. They were just put in there, we're going to charge this country 20%, and they may not have been charging us anything.
Huh.
Okay, so, yeah, that was, and that's the truth. And
so Trump didn't just announce an across-the-board 10% tariff rate regardless of what other countries are doing?
That's true. The Smoot-Hawley Act didn't take account of any what countries were charging us. They just went ahead and put that in there as a hitting the panic button, because a lot of those people didn't really. They were had an economic thing that happened that was really they didn't know how to handle, and so the Smoot-Hawley Act was a knee-jerk reaction, and was put in there basically on based on political pressure. But I've studied it, and because I remember I read up on it quite a bit because Ross Perot threw that out there whenever they were talking about
Jim,
Al Gore did back when they were pushing fighting against NAFTA.
Jim, I need to shift over to some other matters, but I appreciate your call. Call us back. I appreciate your intelligence on the subject and your passionate argument. The other matters would be a massive tornado in Arkansas, in Lake City, Arkansas right now, that's being reported by a number of different outlets. This is the same system that's coming our way, and it is incredible to watch. Apparently, there are several storm trackers that are on this system. It is outside. I mean, obviously, it's not anywhere close to the state of Tennessee, but it is a long-track tornado that's been on the ground for some time now, that's been tracked by a number of people, and it's causing some major damage. Luckily, it looks to be in a relatively unpopulated area, but it's one of those big deals that hopefully is not a bellwether of things to come in the state of Tennessee. 47 after the hour. Real quick, on a lighter note, and I know many of you want to talk tariffs and all of that, and we'll do that at some point, but you have a very special presentation as the manager, as the producer, and as the central songwriter of Wasted Bacon. What do you got?
I also am the band groupie, too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just all of it, actually. We've got a song. For those of you who don't know, Dan raves about the wonders of his tea called Throat Coat.
Yeah, Dan Mandis, Nashville's Morning News, of course.
Yep. And so he will leave this stuff everywhere, and it has slippery elm in it and a bunch of other excitements.
We don't really understand what that is, but
no, and it makes all of us giggle like little schoolgirls every time we see it. We're like, you are okay. But he swears by it, and so I had the AI program build something. I worked on the lyrics, and we have a great jazz song.
Here it is. Without further ado, this is Wasted Bacon, just for you, Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News. It's called Throat Coat.
Dan cracks the mic just before the sun. Voice like gravel, oh, it barely comes. He clears his throat, the static's thick. Slippery elm's his magic trick.
Oh, yeah.
Talk show whispers right in the air. Listeners lean in like they're halfway there. Sips his tea, his secret brew. Dan speaks silk to the morning crew.
Oh, yeah.
Throat coat, work your art. Sounds so smooth at the day's start. Radio waves come alive on air. Dan's sore throat is barely there. Callers sneak in with their tales of woe.
Grumpy people.
Dan's coated voice steals the show. Elm tastes steam in its work divine. Dan's soft croon keeps drivers in line. Slippery elm, you sly old beast, turning grit into a silken feast. Over the airwaves, his voice in hand, a tea-soaked legend is Radio Dan. Oh, throat coat, work your art, sound so smooth
Is there anything wasted bacon? That is a hot lick. Is there anything wasted bacon cannot do? My goodness gracious. I mean, I knew they had hot rock in them. I knew they had the old country sound, but that's like, I feel like I was at a jazz club at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
That is good stuff.
Yeah. We've wasted bacon. So Jerry asked on the Super Text line, what's the story of wasted bacon? We went to a Men of Valor event, and there was, call it 1,500 place settings and 1,300 people there, and we just noticed that's a lot of wasted bacon.
As we were walking out, we recognized that, legally, they would have to throw that food away.
Right.
And that's a lot of wasted bacon.
And I said on the air, hey, that's a great band name.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just decided, okay, let's see if we can make some songs.
We came up with a number of song titles, and some of them worked, and
some of them were very bad. But I'm telling you, some of the ones that aren't terrible, Sausage Gets Made is gold. Throat Coat, you just heard.
We did Thick Cut. Thick Cut was pretty good.
Thick Cut was pretty good. Tacos Again is, I'm not ready to roll this one out, but it's almost there.
Yeah.
It's about that back and forth you have about dinner.
Can we call the first album Salted Pork? I mean, I'm just throwing it out there.
It needs a name. I've got to get all the songs done. Peekaboo Tattoo is going to be a hit too. I'm just telling you.
Okay. Well, y'all let Dan know that we were playing homage to Nashville's Morning News this evening prior to getting serious on the weather front with a little wasted bacon and throat coat sent straight to you, Dan Mandis. We'll be back in a moment. Wrap this up and tell you what we plan on for the rest of the night on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, I know this. If you want a delicious sprinkle to spread all over your bacon or whatever you might be cooking, it's time for Savory Spice. In Franklin, just off the square, right in the heart of Franklin next to Gray's Pharmacy. Walk in and you'll smell the smells, the delicious spices, whether it's cinnamon and nutmeg or, they got mustard, they got salts, they've got peppers, they've got anything you can imagine for the food in your kitchen. Plus, if you're not very good around the kitchen, they've got the Spice and Easy line that helps you. They make it so easy. They have all of the spices right there in the package. They have the ingredients that you need to buy, and they'll tell you exactly what to do. It makes it so easy to make a home-cooked meal for you and your family. All of the spices are there. And by the way, Holly announced to me earlier in the month that they have a reduction in price on over 25% of their inventory. That's right. A quarter of the inventory prices have gone down because the suppliers reduced their prices. So Savory Spice passes those savings along to you. Savory Spice in the heart of Franklin, as I mentioned, you up the food game by upping the spice game, and you up your spice game at Savory Spice. Very nasty weather in Arkansas, and it is coming our way. There are a number of tornadoes on the ground in Arkansas. We're monitoring that situation. And just to make you aware of what we plan on doing later on tonight, we will be here for you throughout the course of the evening. I'm going to stick around for a little bit. I mean, there are rain showers in our area, but the line of storms that we're watching is just outside of Little Rock, Jonesboro. It is headed toward Memphis right now. This huge line stretches from, Canada to Dallas, Texas, or really more specific, Shreveport, actually, just east of Dallas. So, and it is most certainly causing havoc in the state of Arkansas. A number of tornadoes on the ground. And we're going to monitor that, and we're going to keep it right here when necessary. If there's a tornado warning, then we're cutting into regular programming. Otherwise, we're going to let you listen to Mark Levin. We're going to let you do your thing. Severe thunderstorms are a dangerous thing, but tornado warnings can kill people, and that's what we're here for you. Matt, I apologize not getting to you on the issue of tariffs, but we certainly can take that topic up for another day. Cameron Smith, thank you for the robust conversation about tariffs. More importantly, thank you for throat coat.
We got to get Dan's reaction in the morning.
I have no doubt that we will have a strong Mandis reaction, whatever that means. I know that there will be a reaction. You guys tell him all about it. If he doesn't mention it in the 5 o'clock hour, let him know about it. Unless, we have obviously more important things to do on the weather front. Until we meet again, which may be in 30 minutes, maybe in an hour, maybe an hour and a half, maybe tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock. Have a wonderful evening, folks. Hug your loved ones. We'll keep an eye on the weather for you. Matt Murphy, so long, everybody.